Chapter 1917. A Fountain of Return. 1. The four participants stared at the medicinal herbs taken out by the forest with envy, jealousy, and hatred on their faces. The sour bubbles in their hearts kept rolling. Among those medicinal herbs, there were several kinds that were hard to find even with thousands of gold. Not to mention that they couldn't get them. Even if their families had the money, they might not be able to buy them. More importantly, even if their families had them, they wouldn't easily take them out and let them use them to participate in the competition. After all, no one could afford the failure rate of the medicinal pills. It was also not something that alchemists of their level could afford to use. To put it bluntly, he was afraid of wasting it. Was this person really the forest that his grandmother didn't love and his uncle didn't love? Seeing those supreme-grade herbs, the few of them were uncertain. After all, they had never regarded the forest as their biggest opponent before. But now, they didn't dare to take the forest lightly. After Lin Jie took out the medicinal herbs he needed, he obviously felt many strange gazes. However, he didn't care and could understand their feelings. After all, when he first saw these medicinal herbs, he probably lost his composure even more than them. He never thought that these medicinal herbs could be used for the competition. Although he also felt that this was a bit extravagant, that person was right. Medicinal materials were used to refine pills. If one was afraid of failure, what kind of alchemist was he? He even told him that alchemists were built on piles of medicinal herbs, and that an alchemist who had never used supreme-grade medicinal herbs would never become the best alchemist. After hearing these words, he was moved. At the same time, he felt that he owed her too much. It was easy to add flowers to a brocade, but not just anyone could give charcoal in the snow. The charcoal was too valuable, which made him panic. What made him even more uneasy was that the other party didn't ask him for anything, which made him even more at a loss. However, for the sake of this competition, he was willing to give it his all. No matter what the other party wanted him to do after the event, as long as it didn't go against his conscience, he would do it all. Lin Jian decided in his heart. However, if he knew that the person who gave him the medicinal herbs had no request for him, he would probably not think this way and would instead feel depressed. The people on the stage were shocked by the herbs taken out by the forest, and those in the audience who had a certain understanding of herbs were also shocked, especially the master of the Tsong family, who felt deeply uneasy when he saw the medicinal herbs taken out by the forest. It wasn't easy for the clan to produce an alchemist with a bright future, and he was still hoping that the jungle could do more for the clan. Could it be that the forest was going to be dug away by other forces before it could benefit the family? This fact made him feel particularly uncomfortable. However, he knew very well that the power that could produce these herbs was definitely not an ordinary small power. Lin Jian didn't have much sense of belonging to the family. More importantly, the family had helped Lin Jian very little. So, he wasn't confident in convincing Lin Jian with the family's righteousness. AI, the master of the Tsong family, sighed again and again, his brows furrowed together. In the face of those families who came to congratulate him, he also forced a smile and dealt with them. In fact, he knew the pain in his heart. At this moment, Lui Wei, who was sitting in front of Lung Ruoxue, also turned his head and stared deeply at Lung Ruoxue. He did not say anything, but his thoughtful gaze made Lung Ruoxue's hair stand on end. "Sir Lui Wei, why are you looking at me like that?" "I'm scared," Lung Ruoxue asked carefully. "Shui, the herbs we took out from the forest were provided by you, right?" Lui Wei said indifferently. His tone was absolutely certain and not a question. "And," Lung Ruoxue nodded, not denying it. "You're really generous." Lu Yu's tone was a little sour. In fact, he was really jealous. Every herb that this little girl took out was of the highest quality. Whether it was the fire ginseng or the snow lotus petal, they were at least 1,000 years old. Such priceless herbs had actually appeared in an alchemy competition. If the refinement was successful, it would be fine, but if it failed, wouldn't it be a waste of God's gifts? Hearing Lu Yu's tone, Lung Ruoxue didn't know how to continue. Could she say that this was already the most common medicinal herb she could offer? Of course not. Otherwise, it would be too infuriating. Hence, she could only remain silent. "Hand it over." After a long while, Lui Wei, who was glaring at Lung Ruoxue, spoke again. She extended her hand in front of Lung Ruoxue and said without any trace of politeness, "What do you want?" Lung Ruoxue blinked her eyes and pretended to be confused. "Fire ginseng. I have a pill that I need." Lua did not hold back at all. "Oh," Lung Ruoxue acknowledged and took out a fiery red jade box from her bangle. She handed it to Lui Wei, who put it away without even looking at it to avoid attracting too much attention. However, the dense fire attribute, spiritual qi, still made the people around them feel invigorated. However, when they wanted to search for it, the faint fire attribute, spiritual qi, had already disappeared. "Little girl, what other good things do you have? Shouldn't you share some with me?" Seeing the flowing flames ginseng in his hands, Flowing Maple laughed, unwilling to be left out. However, Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes at him. "Little girl, you're clearly being treated differently. Woo, you can't bully people like this." Lu Feng's starry eyes were filled with tears as he spoke with a wronged expression. Unfortunately, his pitiful act was ignored by the crowd. Fengde even covered his mouth and indicated that the competition on stage had already begun. Flowing Maple immediately quieted down and shifted his gaze to the stage. After all, he still had to abide by basic professional ethics. At this moment, the entire arena was completely silent. The only sounds that could be heard were the sounds of the furnace's fire burning and the slight sounds of the medicinal ingredients melting. Everyone's eyes were all focused on the stage, and the 5 people on the stage had all their attention focused on the medicinal ingredients. They watched the medicinal ingredients slowly melt one by one, then purify and finally form pills. The movements of the 5 people were as smooth as floating clouds and flowing water. An hour and a half later, other than the 4 alchemists outside the forest, all of them had completed the refining process. Only the forest was still waiting according to the refining steps in an orderly manner. The alchemist competition also had a time limit. The first 2 rounds were 1 hour each, and the third round was 2 hours. In other words, within 2 hours, no matter how high the grade of your pill was, you had to complete your refinement. Otherwise, it would be considered a failure. Such a rule was also to remind alchemists to know their own limits, and not to blindly pursue high-grade medicinal pills and ignore their own true strength. This could also be considered as tempering their will. After all, as an alchemist, being neither arrogant nor impatient was a basic quality that they had to have. There was still half an hour left until the end of the competition. Many people on and off the stage couldn't help but feel worried for Lin Lin. They knew that the higher the grade of the herb, the longer it would take to produce the pill. Therefore, they were very worried that Lin Lin wouldn't be able to complete the pill refinement in the stipulated time. If that was the case, it would be a pity. Chapter 1918. A Fountain of Return 2. At this moment, Shen Nuo, who was on the stage, was also carefully observing Lin Jian's reaction. Seeing that he was still as calm as before, she could not help but nod her head slightly. It looked like this young man was very clear about what he was doing, and did not become anxious just because the others had completed their refinements. However, he was a little worried that Lin Jian's medicinal pill would not be successfully refined. Looking at the herbs Lin Jian had taken out, he knew clearly that Lin Jian wanted to make the fire property dual polarity pill. The dual polarity pill was a pill that could increase the divine power of fire property. It was very beneficial to cultivation and could even be taken by a divine man. However, good fire ginseng and fire lotus were hard to find. Therefore, a good dual polarity pill was hard to find. The dual polarity pill was also one of the best pills that a respected alchemist could make. If one was lucky, the dual polarity pill might even reach the level of a divine pill. This was also the main reason why the dual polarity pill was so popular. However, with his current level, he could barely be considered an alchemy grandmaster. If he could refine the dual polarity pill, then didn't that mean that he could become an alchemy grandmaster? Thinking of this, he was even more excited about whether the forest could refine a supreme grade dual polarity pill. After all, the herbs taken out by the forest were all of the highest quality. As time slowly passed, half an hour's time slowly passed. The time for the competition was getting closer and closer, and everyone's hearts were in their throats. There's only 1 minute left in the game, the judge announced. At the same time, Lin Jian took a deep breath and opened the pill furnace with great sincerity. A refreshing fragrance instantly entered everyone's nose. Everyone on and off the stage couldn't help but take a deep breath. Instantly, they felt refreshed. Looking at the fiery red elixir lying quietly in the furnace, Lin Jian's heart was filled with joy. He immediately took out the jade bottle he had prepared in advance and quickly put the fiery red dual polarity pill into the bottle. Although he had only refined 5 elixirs, he had succeeded on his first try. The joy in his heart could not be described with words. In fact, it was very risky to refine an elixir that he had never refined before in the competition. However, when he saw the medicinal herbs that the man gave him, he only thought of the dual polarity pill. If he refined the supreme grade fire ginseng and fire lotus into other elixir, he always felt that he would be unworthy of the value of these 2 rare medicinal herbs. Therefore, he decided to take the risk. Fortunately, he did not let these 2 medicinal herbs down. After handing over the refined pills to the judge, the 5 alchemists retreated to the side and waited for the results. The judges on the judging panel took the pills refined by the 5 alchemist masters and compared them in order. In the end, they were stuck between the forest and another alchemist from the Alchemist Guild headquarters. Lin and that alchemist were both alchemy grandmasters, but both of them had refined pills that were higher than their current alchemist level. Moreover, the grade and quality of the pills they refined were not much different. Therefore, it was difficult for them to make a choice when it came to judging. But what made them even more conflicted was that both of them had the strength to win the championship. But if they chose that alchemist from the Alchemist Guild headquarters, people would probably say that their Alchemist Guild headquarters was selfish. But if they chose the forest, they would feel a bit. In short, it wasn't very easy to do. For 3rd to 5th place, they had long since agreed on the answer, and there was no suspense. However, they were stuck in the top 2. This was also a problem that rarely appeared in any alchemist competition, but now it had really appeared. The audience couldn't help but whisper to each other as they watched the judges whisper to each other. But the final result still hadn't been announced. What's going on? Are the results not out yet? Who knows? The judges seemed to be in a difficult position. The crowd was in heated discussion. They could all see the judges' dilemma. You've really given the judges a lot of trouble. Hearing the crowd's soft discussion, Flux Bead turned around and smiled. Really? Lung Ruoshua said with a smile that was not a smile. Everyone had their own selfish motives, and the judges on stage were no exception. In fact, from her point of view, this was not a troublesome matter. Furthermore, she did not think that this was something that was difficult to judge. The value of the pills concocted by the 2 alchemists might be the same, but in terms of usage, the forest dual polarity pill had a wider range of uses. After all, the forest dual polarity pill could be consumed by either a divine man or a hierarch. However, the pill concocted by the alchemist had to be at least a divine emperor to be consumed. However, as a divine emperor, how could he be interested in a sacred level pill that was not even a divine pill? Thus, the difference in power was obvious. Lung Ruoshua deeply felt that there was no need for the judges to be so conflicted. However, it was obvious that they would not be as fair as Lung Ruoshua. After an unknown amount of time, the judges' results were finally out. In the end, Lin obtained the crown of the alchemist competition with a slight advantage. Lung Ruoshua was very clear that this result was due to Shun Nua's firm decision. Otherwise, the judges would probably continue to be at a loss. The Tsung family's head was all smiles when Lin Jian won the championship. The congratulatory words from many families made the members of the Tsung family feel proud. The moment the results of the competition were out, Lung Ruoshua brought her men back to her residence. After the alchemist and weapon refiners competition ended, only the beast races competition remained. However, according to the Divine Master's estate's arrangements, the beast races competition would begin in 3 days. On the other hand, Many clans were not interested in the competition between the magical beasts. As a result, they left the Divine Lord's estate the next day as soon as the alchemists and blacksmiths competition ended. Initially, Huan Xin had hoped that Lung Ruoxue would leave with the other clans. However, Lung Ruoxue was very interested in the beast races competition, and her beasts wanted to watch the competition as well. Hence, Lung Ruoxue had ignored Huan Qin's suggestion and chose to stay. However, there were not many human families who chose to stay and continue to watch the battle. For a moment, the Imperial City was much quieter. Before the start of the beast races competition, Lung Ruoxue received a few more uninvited guests. One of them was the forest. As she looked at Lin Xiao, who was standing in front of her with a cautious expression and a little at a loss, Lung Ruoxue tried her best to appear friendly. She smiled and asked, "Is there something you need from me, Sir Jungle?" The forest was no longer the same as it was in the past. Moreover, after Shen Nuo's personal examination yesterday, he had become an honorable alchemist teacher. "I am here to thank Miss Lung." Lin Lin stammered as he looked at the devastatingly beautiful Lung Ruoxue. He had never dreamed that his benefactor would be a woman, and such a young one at that. Lin Lin, who had never interacted with a woman before, was so nervous that his hands and feet were stiff, and he did not know where to put them. "There's no need to thank me. I didn't give you the medicinal herbs for you to thank me," Lung Ruoxue replied nonchalantly. The medicinal herbs that were sent to the forest were merely a drop in the ocean to her. They were not even worth mentioning. Chapter 1919, A Fountain of Return 3. Then I wonder if Miss Lung has any requirements for me. Lin Lin thought for a moment and asked hesitantly. He wasn't really insensible. Lung Ruoxue had helped him so much, and he didn't believe that she wouldn't want anything in return. However, if he asked so directly, he felt that she was being very realistic. He felt that he had let Lung Ruoxue down, which was why he was hesitant. However, he was a straightforward person and wouldn't beat around the bush. "No, I didn't Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. When Lin Lin heard Lung Ruoxue's words, he could not help but widen his eyes. Did he dare to believe this? He had given him such precious medicinal herbs. How could he not have any requests at all? Even a 3-year-old child would be suspicious of this, right? To me, giving you some medicinal herbs is as easy as lifting a finger. Just treat me as a person who appreciates talent. I also don't want to pill master talent to be buried. You have the strength to win the championship. If you're stuck on medicinal ingredients, I'll feel sorry for you," Lung Ruoxue said sincerely. When she delivered the herbs from the forest, she had never thought of asking him for anything in return. After all, she had always done things according to her mood and according to her heart's desire. If she wanted to do it, she would do it. If she didn't want to do it, no one could force her to do it. Therefore, whenever she decided to do something, she would do it willingly and naturally would not ask for anything in return. However, Lin Mu's heart was moved by Lung Ruoxue's words. He didn't know what to say. An outsider treated him like this, but his own clansmen. Now that he had won the championship, his clansmen began to think of ways to flatter him. But who knew that this wasn't what he wanted? All along, he had only wanted the acknowledgement of his clan and his family. However, when he won the championship, these feelings that he had been longing for came late. Now, he realized that these were not what he wanted. It could also be said that these feelings came too late. They were so late that he no longer needed them, because he was very clear that what he wanted was coal in the snow, not flowers on top of brocade. If a clansman was willing to lend him a helping hand when he was at his lowest, then he would definitely treat that person as a family member. However, when he faced those clansmen now, he did not have such a feeling. He felt more like he was experiencing the fickleness of human nature. After lowering his head in deep thought for a long time, Lin Jian raised his head and looked at Lung Ruoxue with a determined expression. "Miss Lung, I'm indebted to you. Although I'm not good at anything and only know how to refine pills, I have a firm heart. I'm willing to follow you from now on and be loyal to you forever. Please accept me." After he finished speaking, Lin Lin knelt down on one knee and looked at Lung Ruoxue with anticipation. After winning the championship, There were countless forces that wanted to recruit him, but he didn't accept any of them. Now that he had chosen Lung Ruoxue, it was mostly to repay her kindness. A drop of water knows kindness as a fountain to repay. That was the only thought he had at the moment. Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised when she heard Lin Jin's words. Then she smiled and said softly, "I'm just a small family. I'm afraid I can't accommodate a big Buddha like you." "Miss Lung, do you despise me?" Lin said with an aggrieved expression. Whoa! He could tell that Miss Lung didn't fancy him. This made him feel very upset. "I'm telling the truth. As far as I know, there are a few families in the 8 divine domains that have extended an olive branch to you. The treatment they've given you is something that I can't give you. You're also an alchemist with a great future. I don't want to bury you." Lung Ruoxue was very sincere, but there was also a hint of probing in her words. "But I'm not indebted to them," Lin said stubbornly as he looked at Lung Ruoxue with a face full of hidden bitterness. He had not expected that the decision he had made with great difficulty would be rejected. The kindness of knowing someone is only temporary. You should look further, Lung Ruoxue reminded him. In other words, he should be able to see his own future development. That was the most important thing. "It's very important to me. If it weren't for your timely help, I wouldn't be who I am today. Those super forces wouldn't even consider me. That's why I don't want them. I just want to follow you. It's fine even if you can't provide me with any good resources. Now that I'm a little famous, I believe that there will be many people who want to ask me to refine medicinal pills. So, you don't have to worry about this. I'll find a way for the herbs myself." Lin Song hurriedly said. At this moment, he was only thinking about how to get Lung Ruoxue to take him in. He had completely forgotten that since Lung Ruoxue could give him such good medicinal herbs, how could she be someone who lacked medicinal herbs? However, it was also his sincere words that moved Lung Ruoxue and allowed her to pass the test she gave him. "Since you said so, they'll take you in," Lung Ruoxue said calmly. "Thank you, miss," Lin said hurriedly. He knew that Feng De always addressed Lung Ruoxue as miss. Following that, he immediately swore a loyalty oath to show that he truly wanted to follow Lung Ruoxue and never betray her. Seeing him like this, Lung Ruoxue didn't stop him. However, by doing this, Lung Ruoxue had really treated him as one of her own. However, when a family in the jungle found out that the jungle had found a master who didn't have much power for them, their reaction was unusually intense. The few elders of the Tsong family were especially furious. They wanted to settle scores with Lung Ruoxue immediately, but the Lin family did not give them the chance to do so. They only warned them that if they dared to cause trouble for Lung Ruoxue, he would immediately announce his departure from the family. The members of the Tsong family were afraid. Although Lin Yun didn't have much of a sense of belonging to the clan, as long as he was still a member of the Tsong family, no clan would dare to look down on them. Moreover, Lin Yun was so popular now. They naturally couldn't bear to give up on this alchemist who could lay golden eggs. Thus, they could only reluctantly agree to Lin Yun's decision. In fact, they had no choice but to agree. Lung Ruoxue found out about this very quickly. However, she did not tell anyone about it. She was even more satisfied with the forest. Although that guy didn't talk much, he was a very decisive person, and he wasn't pedantic. This was what she was most satisfied with. After settling the matters in the forest, Lung Ruoxue welcomed another important figure from the Ji family, the master of the Ji family. In the living room, the master of the Ji family sat on a chair and sipped his tea. At the same time, he would lift his eyelids from time to time to size up Lung Ruoxue. He could not help but exclaim in admiration. Although this little girl was young, her mental fortitude was not something that ordinary people could compare to. He had been here for a while, and other than the initial greeting, he had not said anything. However, this little girl had actually held her breath and did not take the initiative to ask him why he had come. This could not help but make him look at her in a new light. But at the same time, he was a little depressed. "Miss Lung, I often hear Yunner mention you." After a long while, the master of the Ji family couldn't help but try to find topic. "Oh," Lung Ruoxue only replied with an indifferent "oh" and did not have any other reaction. This fact made the master of the G family even more frustrated. It's all thanks to you for taking care of Yun in the special space. The patriarch of the G family continued helplessly. Yes. Lung Ruashua nodded. I say, little girl, can't you just say a few more words? Finally, the master of the G family went crazy. I want to say more, but you're always talking nonsense. I really don't know how to respond to you, except for, oh. This time, Lung Ruashua was more talkative. However, family head G seemed to be even more depressed because Lung Ruashua had actually said that everything he said was nonsense. Little girl, I'm the head of the G family. Can't you leave me some face? After a long while, Master G said to Lung Ruashua with an aggrieved expression. He could tell that this little girl was difficult to deal with, and Yin could not compare to her. I'm already giving you face by letting you in. If it were someone else, I wouldn't even let him in. Lung Ruashua spoke the truth. In reality, many families had come to visit her. However, she had used all sorts of reasons to block them at the door. Furthermore, she couldn't figure out why those families had come to see her. She didn't seem to have any outstanding points in this competition, right? Although she was inextricably linked to the Ning family, this was not enough to be a real reason for them to visit her, right? That was what Lung Ruashua thought, but she had underestimated the determination of those families to form a relationship with the Ning family. Furthermore, she had never thought that she had any influence on the Ning family, so naturally, she could not understand the thoughts of those families. All right, consider my face big. Hearing Lung Ruakshu's words and seeing her unusually serious expression, the G family's head said helplessly, Then, can you directly state your purpose of visit now? Lung Ruashu asked with a smile. Hee, I just came to see you. Clan Master G laughed awkwardly, but when he saw Lung Ruakshu's half-smile, he quickly added, I also want to ask you for a pill. Are you really just here to ask for pills? Lung Ruashu asked indifferently. I'm mainly here for medicinal pills. This should be fine, right? The patriarch of the G family changed his words, but he couldn't help sighing in his heart. He was a famous figure in the immortal realm, but now he felt so much pressure in front of a little girl. What the hell is this? The more he thought about it, the more depressed he became. Chapter 1920. Search and Rescue. 1. Lung Ruashua smiled faintly when she saw the bitter expression on Patriarch Jaya's face. Patriarch G should have been so direct, but shouldn't you go to an alchemist if you want pills? Why are you looking for me? As she said this, Lung Ruakshu's face was filled with astonishment. The patriarch of the G clan had a headache. Could he say that it was the people from the Alchemist Guild headquarters who sent him here? He didn't know how Lung Ruashua had such a good relationship with the Alchemist Guild headquarters. When they heard that he needed healing pills for Ji Min, they didn't even dare to sell it to him. Even if he provided the medicinal ingredients and a huge sum of money, they wouldn't sell it to him, let alone help him refine it. This fact made him feel rather helpless. At the same time, he also realized the important position Lung Ruashua held in the Alchemist Guild headquarters. In the firmament, one could offend anyone but an alchemist. Hence, he could only come to Lung Ruashua personally. He didn't know if Lung Ruashua would be willing to give him face. He didn't have any confidence in this. What's this? Is it so hard for Patriarch G to say? Lung Ruakshu's beautiful face had a carefree smile on it as she replied indifferently. Yes, I am. The master of the G family nodded. It was indeed difficult to say this. In that case, I suggest you don't say it. Lung Ruashua suggested with good intentions. Actually, from the moment this old man said that he wanted to ask for the pills, she already knew his intentions. However, she would not take the initiative to say this. When Master G heard Lung Ruakshu's words, he was a little dumbfounded. Even though he didn't dare to call the wind and summon the rain and the divinity, he at least had some face. However, he never dreamed that he would meet such a difficult girl like Lung Ruashua one day. She knew that he had a favor to ask of her, but she still advised him not to say anything. If she didn't say anything, why would he come here? What's wrong? It's you who said it's hard to say. Since it's so hard for you to say, it's definitely something that'll put me in a difficult position. So, for the good of all of us, it's better not to say it. Lung Ruoshu blinked her beautiful eyes as she replied matter-of-factly. The patriarch of the Ji family was speechless. All right, he admitted that what Lung Ruoshua said was true. This matter would indeed put Lung Ruoshua in a difficult position. However, he had to say it. Miss Lung, I wonder if you can give Yin her face and have the Alchemist Guild's alchemist sell us a healing medicinal pill. After making up his mind, the master of the Ji family made up his mind and said straightforwardly, Patriarch Ji, how could an alchemist from the Alchemist Guild headquarters listen to me? Have you found the wrong person? Lung Ruoshua looked at Patriarch Ji in confusion. I didn't find the wrong one. Without your permission, the alchemists of the Alchemist Guild headquarters won't sell me healing pills at all. Even if I provide the medicinal ingredients and pay them a high price to refine them, they won't be willing. When Patriarch Ji said this, his face was full of hidden bitterness. How is that possible? The Alchemist Guild headquarters probably wouldn't push away their business, so Patriarch Ji must have misunderstood. Lung Ruoshua still didn't quite believe the words of this old man from the Ji family. In the entire Alchemist Guild headquarters, she only knew two people. One was Luiwei, and the other was Shin Nuo. Moreover, these two people didn't seem like people who would be selfish, so old man Jai's words were still worth suspecting. I didn't misunderstand. An alchemist him close to personally told me, so I can only come and beg you. The patriarch of the Ji family said honestly, Oh, so you're here to ask me for healing pills? Don't tell me the Ji family doesn't even have a single healing pill? Lung Ruoshua said with a look of disbelief. The thing that these clans in the god world didn't lack the least was healing medicinal pills. This was an essential item. After all, injuries were inevitable. Therefore, these medicinal pills were usually prepared in advance. I do, but I need a supreme-grade healing pill, the Ji family member said with some heartache. Supreme-grade healing pills cost a lot of money, and just thinking about it made his heart ache. Is there anyone in the Ji family who is seriously injured? Lung Ruoshua said in realization. It's Ji Min. The head of the Ji family said in a low voice. Ji Min. Lung Ruoshua deliberately dragged out her words. Then, she took out a contract from her bangle and passed it to Patriarch Ji. Patriarch Ji was confused, but after opening it and taking a look, his expression turned extremely ugly. That damn girl, she actually signed such a contract. Wasn't she courting death? Even though he had no idea why Ji Min had fought with Lung Ruoshua and was even so heavily injured, there was no doubt that Ji Min had been injured by his divine skill. Hence, it was not appropriate for him to cause trouble for Lung Ruoshua because of this. He even had to warn his clansmen to be more well-behaved and not to provoke Lung Ruoshua. However, when he saw this contract, he was truly enraged. The young lady of the Ji family had designs on my man and even wanted to kill me to replace him. Do you think I should be a saint and save her? I might as well tell you the truth. The reason I spared her life back then was because of Ji Yun, so I think it's better for her to be in her current state. At least she's a lot more obedient. Lung Ruoshua said with a half-smile. Hearing Lung Ruoshua's words, Clan Head Ji knew that begging Lung Ruoshua would not work. Actually, he couldn't blame her for not willing to save him. If it were him, he probably wouldn't want to save someone who had ulterior motives. After understanding this fact, Clan Head Ji sat for a while longer before he stood up and left. After Patriarch Ji left, Lung Ruoshua immediately went to look for Luiwei, wanting to ask him what was going on. However, Liu's answer made her feel even more speechless. This matter, it's Lu Feng's doing, Luiwei said with a faint smile in the room. How did his hand reach into the Alchemist Guild headquarters? Don't you have anyone to do something about it? Lung Ruoshua was sweating. This Lu Feng was the vice guild master of the Armament Guild headquarters, but he actually took charge of the Alchemist Guild headquarters matters. Wasn't this a little like a dog taking a mouse? What's there to care about? He just wants to get back at you. Moreover, we've also acquiesced to it, Luiwei said with a smirk. No wonder. Lung Ruoshua sighed softly. Little girl, old man Ji is looking for you? Luiwei said. Yes, but I rejected him. Lung Ruoshua said honestly. Good rejection. That Jimin must be taught a lesson. Humph. To dare to bully our family's girl. You must be tired of living. Lu Yu's face was cold, and she was very displeased. Our girl? She was his. Lung Ruoxue secretly complained to herself. However, she felt warm in her heart when she heard Lu Yu's words because she knew very well that Lu Yue and Lu Feng wanted to back her up. The feeling of being hugged by someone's thigh was really good. Girl, when do you plan to leave this place? Lu Yue asked again. I want to watch the beast races competition. They'll leave after that. Lung Ruoxue said. Oh, at that time, we will go with you and take a look at your territory and recognize the door. Lu Yue said with a smile. Little girl, don't tell me you don't welcome us. Lu Yue asked on purpose when she saw Lung Ruoxue's shocked expression. Chapter 1921. Search and Rescue 2. How can that be? But who are you guys? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. Me, Lu Feng, Shun Nuo, First Elder. We will all return with you. Lu Yue explained. Oh, however, my place has only just started construction. When we left for the Imperial City, the construction was not completed yet. So, Lung Ruoxue was a little hesitant. She was not sure what her place looked like now. It was unlikely that she would be able to meet anyone. It's okay, we won't mind. You have a portable house anyway, so we don't have to worry about not having a place to live. Lu Yue said disapprovingly. In that case, let's go together. Lung Ruoxue felt a little helpless. Since they had already put it this way, she naturally couldn't reject them. Actually, she really didn't have the intention of inviting them over as guests. After all, her territory was still in its initial stages of construction. However, these people weren't considered outsiders. Since they wanted to go now, she definitely wouldn't reject them. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue had agreed, Lu Yu's handsome face broke into a smile. He knew that this little girl would not reject them. After chatting with Lu Yue for a while more, Lung Ruoxue stood up and bade her farewell. 3 days passed by quickly. When the Beast Races competition officially began, only a few dozen clans from the human race remained to watch the battle. Most of them were people that Lung Ruoxue knew. Ji Yun, Yu Chun, and the others had all stayed behind. On the day of the Beast Races competition, Lung Ruoxue and the rest arrived at the competition grounds early in the morning. Yu Chun, who had arrived a step later than them, couldn't help but tease them when he saw them. I've never seen you so enthusiastic in the human races competition. That's right. What's there to see in a competition between humans? Beastie is cuter, Fonda said disapprovingly. The beasts are cute, but the beasts that are participating in the competition may not be cute. Didn't you notice that there are many unfriendly gazes here? Yuchen said in a low voice. The majority of the audience were magical beasts, with only a small portion of them being humans. As a result, they seemed to stand out from the crowd. Not only that, but many of the magical beasts did not assume human form. Instead, they sat in the audience with the appearance of beasts. They looked even more petite and exquisite among the small mountains. On the right side of Lung Ruoxue and the other seats, there was the Python clan. The giant pythons were all sticking out their tongues and would look at them with cold eyes from time to time, causing everyone's hair to stand on end. On their left sat the adorable members of the leopard clan. The leopard from the leopard clan were all in mimicry, which made them look even more adorable. These two extremes rendered Lung Ruoxue and the rest speechless. However, the leopard clan's attitude towards them was not much better than that of the pythons. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue finally realized the insurmountable gap between the magical beasts and the humans. If it were not for the fact that the competition was organized by the Divine Master's residence, the magical beasts would not even share a room with the humans. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue suddenly felt an itch by her feet. Lowering her head, she saw a palm-sized snow-white leopard rubbing against her feet. That cute little appearance made one's heart soften. Lung Ruoxue bent down and picked up the little leopard. At first, the little leopard only struggled for a while, but then it lay quietly in Lung Ruoxue's palm. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue took out a red fruit and teased the little leopard. Junior Leopard stretched out his little paw to take the fruit that was emitting an alluring fragrance. However, Lung Ruoxue would not let him take it so easily. After a few rounds of teasing, Junior Leopard pouted, and his beautiful silver eyes became misty. Then, with a wah sound, he burst into tears. Don't cry. Don't cry. Here you go." Lung Ruoxue saw that she had made the little fellow cry and hurriedly tried to comfort it. After the little leopard had obtained the fruit, it continued to stare at Lung Ruoxue with an aggrieved expression, as if it was complaining about her heartlessness. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue felt helpless. It seemed like this little fellow wasn't easy to coax. Thinking of this, she could only take out another fruit to bribe this little guy. However, who knew that Junior Leopard would only close his eyes slightly? It was obvious that he did not buy Lung Ruoxue's bribe. When everyone saw this, they could not help but laugh. "You little thing, it's quite difficult to serve you." Lung Ruoxue was a little speechless. At this moment, a similarly snow-white leopard walked over from a neighboring seat. It looked at Lung Ruoxue and the rest with a nervous expression. "Please return my child to me, okay?" It was obviously a female leopard. When she spoke, her beautiful silver eyes were filled with uneasiness. Lung Ruoxue and the others were at a loss for words. Looking at the mother, it was as if they were bad guys who specialized in kidnapping and tricking children. However, they couldn't blame the female leopard for being so nervous. After all, when humans saw beasts, they would only think of forming a contract. This was especially so for a young beast, which was much easier to form a contract with than an adult beast. After Lung Ruoxue heard the mother leopard's words, she let out a soft sigh and placed the little leopard onto the mother leopard's back. When the mother leopard saw this, she thanked her softly and brought her naughty child back to their seats. At this moment, the beast races competition began under the judge's command. The rules of the beast race competition were not much different from that of the human race. However, each race could only send 3 participants. Moreover, half of the beasts would be eliminated in the preliminary round. From this, one could see how fierce the competition was. Among the beast clans, the most powerful were the 4 royal divine beasts, namely the dragon, phoenix, white tiger, and Shilin. Next were the fox clan, lion clan, leopard clan, and other beast clans. Moreover, the strength of the beast clans was extremely uneven. The beast clan was the most powerful and had the noblest bloodline. Therefore, if there were no accidents, the champion would be one of the 4 royal divine beasts. There was almost no suspense. Lung Ruoxue was also very clear about this situation. The reason why she stayed behind to watch the battle was mainly to target the 4 king divine beasts. Not only did the 4 great beast kings have the highest status among the magical beasts, but their strength and status couldn't be underestimated even among the humans. After all, once they became reverent god level, their origins, races, and so on were no longer that important. It was also because of this that human powerhouses treated magical beasts as equals. If there was a conflict between the 2 races, it was usually resolved by the human and magical beast powerhouses. Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes scanned the representatives of the 4 king-level divine beasts who were seated closest to the main platform. The representatives of these 4 clans were seated in human form. Furthermore, the 4 clans had distinctive features. The leader of the dragon clan was dressed in a golden dragon robe. He had golden hair and golden eyes, and he had the aura of a king. The leader of the Phoenix clan was a lady dressed in fiery red. It was as if her body was burning with flames, and the air around her was instantly roasted dry. The leader of the White Tiger clan was dressed in white. He was as intimidating as a deity. As for the Qilin clan, their leader was also a man. His appearance and temperament were all top-notch, and he had a gentle smile on his face. However, Lung Ruoxue could clearly see that the smile on this man's face did not reach his eyes. Chapter 1922 Search and Rescue 3 The leaders of the 4 clans were all as strong as reverent god-level cultivators. It was obvious that their status in their clans was not low. However, the 4 of them ignored each other. It seemed like they didn't have a good relationship. However, Lung Ruoxue was not interested in their relationship. What she wanted to know more was the current situation of the four clans. However, it was obvious that no one would tell her about it, and the timing was not right. Following that, Lung Ruoxue watched the competition with a peace of mind. The Beast Race's competition was much more bloody than the human races. After a few rounds of competition, all the participants were wounded. Fonda couldn't help but widen his eyes when he saw this. He said with a face of disbelief, "This is only the preliminaries. Is there a need to go all out?" He could not understand. "What do you know? We magical beasts are all hot-blooded, and we won't put on airs like you humans." As soon as Fonda's voice fell, a giant python that heard his words roared in dissatisfaction. As it spoke, its huge snake mouth was still exhaling a foul smell, which made Fonda and the others miserable. They had to quickly cover their mouths and stare at Fonda with accusing eyes, as if to say, "Why are you talking so much?" Seeing this, Fonda shrank his head and didn't dare to make a sound. He just covered his mouth even more tightly. This smell was too horrible to look at. The stench in the giant python's mouth did not dissipate for a while. Instead, it showed signs of spreading and even spread to the leopard clan to the left of Lung Ruoxue. However, those mimic junior leopards were unusually calm. They even cast sidelong glances at Lung Ruoxue and the others with disdain. Their red eyes were filled with the word TSK. Humans only had this level of self-control. This taste is nothing. After reading the meaning in their eyes, Lung Ruoxue could no longer sit still. She stood up and left her seat. Fonda and the rest saw this and followed behind her. When they returned to their residence, Lung Ruoxue finally heaved a sigh of relief. However, she soon sighed. He had lost a lot of face today, being looked down on by a group of beastie. However, it didn't seem like they could be blamed for this. That giant python's breath was simply too smelly, even more smelly than the stink bomb she had refined. It would be strange if they could stand it. As soon as Fonda returned home, he was warmly received by Green Peach. When it was time for dinner, they saw the dark circles under Fonda's eyes, and they couldn't help but laugh. "Captain, your new look is pretty good." Someone joked, not afraid of death. "Why can't you shut your mouth when you're eating?" Fonda was furious when he heard this. "Hee, I just wanted to praise you." That person continued, "I don't need it. However, if you like this image, I'm more than happy to help you." Fonda said with a smile that was not a smile. The expression on his face was very unfriendly. No need. I still think that Captain's appearance is better. I don't dare to look exactly like Captain." The man quickly said, "It's okay, I don't mind." Fonda said with a smile. After he finished speaking, he rolled up his sleeves. "But I mind." After that person finished speaking, he ran off like a wisp of smoke. "You're quite fast." Fonda was furious. "Otherwise, do you really intend to make him end up like you?" Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Miss, this is also going through difficulties together." Seeing that Lung Ruoxue had spoken, Fonda immediately became listless. "So, we have to accompany you to smell the stench." Lung Ruoxue's smile was extremely bright, but her dazzling smile made Fonda break out in cold sweat for no reason. He had a bad feeling. "Young miss," Fonda called out pitifully. However, Lung Ruoxue ignored his act and continued, "You've caused us to run away today. You've lost a lot of face. What do you think we should do?" As soon as he said that, everyone looked at Fonda with gloating eyes. "Miss, I've already been punished." Fonda pointed at the dark circles under his eyes. "That doesn't count. That's a punishment from Green Peach. But we haven't even settled the score with you yet." Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. "Miss, you can't bully me like this." Fonda was so anxious that he was about to cry. "Woo, young miss was really too bad. How could you be like this?" However, Lung Ruoxue didn't care about his bitter expression. After giving Lin Yuan and the rest a look, she was prepared to sit at the side and watch the show. When Lin Yuan and the rest received Lung Ruoxue's signal, they swarmed forward. "Arg, you bunch of brats. I won't let you off." In an instant, Fonda's angry roar was deafening. Then, the courtyard was in a chaotic battle. Lung Ruoxue watched the show for a while before she was pulled away by the evildoer. Late at night, the hurried knocking on the door woke Lung Ruoxue and the rest up from their dreams. After the door opened, a group of flustered and exasperated leopards rushed in. Those leopards were aggressive. When they saw Lung Ruoxue and the rest, they did not have a good expression. At this moment, the female leopard that Lung Ruoxue had seen during the day walked up and looked at her with tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry to disturb you. I wanted to ask if you've seen my child." "Your child? Isn't it with you?" Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised. "It used to be, but it's gone now." "Woo." After the female leopard finished speaking, she began to cry, and bean-sized tears kept rolling down. "If it's gone, then quickly go and find it. What's the use of crying?" Lung Ruoxue was speechless when she saw the female leopard bawling her eyes out. Could it be that the little leopard would return just by crying? "I've searched many places, but I can't find it," the female leopard said. After she finished speaking, she cried even more sadly. "Then it's no use for you to come to me. I didn't see it either." Lung Ruoxue was at a loss for words when she saw these leopards approaching menacingly. Did they think that the junior leopard was with her? "My child has only come into contact with you." The female leopard was very reserved, but Lung Ruoxue understood. So what? Lung Ruoxue was truly speechless. Could it be what she was thinking? "Human, as long as you return Shi'er to us, we won't make things difficult for you." A leopard that seemed to be rather well-respected opened its mouth and spoke. Obviously, it should be the leader of these leopards. "I don't know where the little leopard is. How can I hand it over to you?" Lung Ruoxue was helpless. Were these leopards still planning to cling on to her? "Human, Shi'er is still young, so even if you take her in as a beastie, she won't be able to help you much. Why don't you let her go, and he'll be willing to replace her as your contracted beast? Is that not enough?" Another leopard said righteously. Even though they had come in an aggressive manner, they did not dare to fall out with Lung Ruoxue and the others. Instead, they had a good discussion. The main reason was that they were certain that their baby was with Lung Ruoxue. The leopard's words made Lung Ruoxue sigh. Did she really look that insincere? Moreover, just as the leopard had said, what could she do with the little one? She couldn't lift it with her hands or carry it with her shoulders, but she still had to feed it. No matter how she thought about it, it wasn't worth it. So, she really couldn't understand why these leopards were so stubborn and believed that the little fellow was with her. The more Lung Ruoxue thought about it, the angrier she got. If she knew who made her the scapegoat, she would never let that person off. "I don't lack beastie. It's really not with me." After a long while, Lung Ruoxue finally spoke. Furthermore, in order to gain their trust, Lung Ruoxue had directly moved the Silver Wolf clan out of the bracelet. It should be easier to communicate with the beasts. The appearance of thousands of wolves immediately occupied more than half of the courtyard. Those fierce leopards could not help but widen their eyes after seeing these silver wolves. What was this situation? They were all dumbfounded. "They're all my beastie," Lung Ruoxue explained. Really, the leopards couldn't believe it. How could a human contract so many beasts? Was he still a human? "Your child is indeed not with my master." The Silver Wolf King had already heard their intentions from the bracelet, so it did not waste any words and spoke directly. As soon as the Silver Wolf King finished speaking, the mother leopard who had lost her child started crying again. The other leopards had grave expressions on their faces. Compared to Lung Ruoxue's words, they were more willing to believe these silver wolves. After all, even if the magical beasts had acknowledged their master, they would not harm their own kind. However, the Silver Wolf King's words had also shattered their greatest hope. The Silver Wolf King could not bear to see the leopard's desolated expressions. It was also a beastie with children, so it could naturally understand the pain of losing them. After thinking for a while, the Silver Wolf King suggested, "Master, let's help them find that little leopard. Maybe it got lost because it wanted to play. Fonda, you guys should help them look for it too." Lung Ruoxue nodded and instructed Fonda and the rest. "Yes." Fonda and the others replied. "Thank you," the female leopard said gratefully when she heard their words. After that, everyone split the work with the silver wolves and leopards. The beasts were responsible for searching from house to house. After all, the beast's sense of smell was far better than that of humans. Fonda and the others searched along the streets of the imperial city. They even searched the area within 100 miles of the city. At dawn, they finally found Junior Leopard's whereabouts. Chapter 1923. The Foodie Sheet 1. It was like this. After Fonda and the others searched the streets, they walked toward the city gate. At the city gate, Fonda bribed the city guards and asked them which families had left the city from the afternoon to the late night. After getting an accurate answer from the guards, Fonda and the others split up and chased after those teams. There were 3 families that left the city, so Fonda and the others split into 3 groups. After all, in their knowledge, the possibility of Junior Leopard getting lost was not high. The biggest possibility was that he was taken away by others. Among the 3 groups, the other 2 groups received news very quickly. The other party did not have Junior Leopard in their hands. Of course, this was confirmed by the Leopard tribe. On the other hand, Fonda had caught up with Murong and her group along with the woman who wanted Fonda to follow. When the woman saw Fonda, she was immediately overjoyed, and her face was full of smiles. Fonda, I didn't expect you to catch up to me. Why? Have you thought it through? Are you going to follow me in the future? The woman said excitedly after seeing Fonda. As for Murong Fei, she was frowning, apparently not expecting to see Fonda again. When Fonda heard the woman's words, he indifferently said, Miss, you're mistaken. I've never thought of changing owners. However, I really have something to ask of you. I hope you can cooperate. I wonder what business Brother Feng has. As long as I, Murong Fei, can help, I will definitely not shirk my duty. The moment she heard this, Murong Fei quickly expressed her position. Thank you, young Master Murong, Fonda courteously replied. Then, he told Murong Fei about the matter and observed the expressions on Murong Fei and the rest's faces. He found that when he mentioned Junior Leopard, the woman's expression was extremely unnatural. Immediately, he paid attention to it. After Murong Fei heard Feng Die's intention, although she was a little angry, but she still asked politely, Brother Feng, do you think we took the little leopard away? No, I'm just here to confirm. It's best if young Master Murong and the others have nothing to do with this. Otherwise, if the leopard clan gets angry, I'm afraid the consequences will be unimaginable. Fonda reminded. The beasts that had come to participate in the elite competition would definitely not allow this to happen. This incident might even become an excuse for the dispute between the beast race and the human race. After all, the 2 races had maintained a peaceful surface for many years. After hearing Feng Die's words, Murong Fei immediately calmed down and seriously considered the truth in his words. After thinking for a while, Murong Yuan had to admit that Feng Die's words made sense. If the Divine Master's estate found out that Little Beastie was lost in the elite competition, they would not let it go. After all, it was a slap to the Divine Master's estate's face. Moreover, the Divine Master's estate had the obligation to ensure the safety of the participating beasts. This was the consensus of everyone. Brother Feng, I really didn't see the little leopard you mentioned. We left after packing up today. After thinking for a moment, Murong Fei explained. At this moment, Fonda heard the leopard on his shoulder transmit his voice. Shi-Er is in their hands. I can feel Shi-Er's aura. When Fonda heard that, he immediately became 120,000% alert and said in a neither humble nor arrogant manner, Young Master Murong, it's not that I don't believe you, but this friend of mine from the leopard clan has confirmed that the little leopard is with you. I wonder if you would allow us to search for it? His words were very polite, but he didn't allow Murong and I to refuse. After all, it was not easy to get news of Junior Leopard, so he naturally didn't want to let it go. What? Feng Die's words made Murong Fei unable to believe it. He had already said so much, and the other party still didn't believe him. However, Beastie had its own way of finding its own descendants. Hence, Murong and I could not be sure of the accuracy of the other party's judgment. Young Master Murong, you are a reasonable person. I hope you can cooperate with us. Fonda complimented Murong Fei. I can let you check, but what if you can't find anything? Murong and I asked indifferently. Her Murong family was considered to have a reputation in the divine world, and if this matter were to spread out, it would definitely damage their reputation. Hence, he had no choice but to find some balance for himself. Otherwise, if everyone were to treat him as a soft persimmon in the future, how would he be able to survive in the divine world? If we can't find anything, we will apologize to young Master Murong and compensate you for all your losses. However, if that junior leopard is really in your team, I hope that young Master Murong can give the leopard tribe an explanation. After all, it's the period of the elite competition. If such a thing were to spread, I'm afraid that the beast tribe would not dare to come to the elite competition in the future. Fonda calmly suggested, and when Murong D saw the confidence he was exuding, he was not sure if his request was right or wrong. However, Murong Fei still nodded her head, and the moment the woman beside him saw that Murong Fei had agreed, she immediately shouted out in dissatisfaction, "Murong Fei, how could you agree to such a thing? You're so useless." When the woman said this, her face was filled with disdain, and when Murong Fei heard her words, her face immediately turned ugly. "You shut up. I know what I'm doing," Murong Fei said unhappily. She was extremely angry with this woman who couldn't see the situation clearly because she was very clear that since Fonda and the others had caught up with them, they must have been prepared. If they refused to let them investigate, they would alert the Divine Master's estate, and it would be even more troublesome. You dare to shout at me." The woman's face was filled with disbelief, but this time, Murong Fei didn't even look at her and directly said to Fonda, "You guys check." Fonda nodded and gave a look to the leopard on his shoulder. The leopard understood and jumped off Fonda's shoulder and started to circle around Murong and I and the rest. After a few rounds, the leopard didn't say anything. Instead, it went around a few more rounds and sniffed from time to time. Fonda was depressed. Did he find the leopard or not? One must know that if they really didn't find out anything, Murong Fei would definitely take the opportunity to demand an exorbitant price, and he absolutely didn't want to give Murong Fei that chance. Finally, the leopard nodded. Then, it pointed at the woman with its paw and said, "She has Shi-Er's aura on her. She must have taken Shi-Er away." After the leopard finished speaking, Fonda heaved a sigh of relief. He thought to himself, "Fortunately, I found it. Otherwise, I'd really wonder if there's something wrong with the leopard's sense of smell. Why did it take so long to smell?" In fact, he had wronged the leopard. It was not that the leopard's sense of smell was weak, but that the woman's fragrance was too strong and covered the junior leopard's breath. That was why it took a long time to find her. "Are you sure?" Fonda pretended to ask. "Yes." The leopard nodded, then glared at the woman with a fierce look in its eyes. "Hand Shi-Er over, and he'll spare your life. Otherwise, you're dead." Chapter 1924. The Foodie Shi-Er tie. "I don't know anything about Shi-Er. Don't wrong me." The woman's expression suddenly changed, and she quickly shouted, "Umph. Human, do you think we orcs are so easy to fool? Although the fragrance on your body has almost covered up Shi-Er's smell, it can't hide from the nose of our beast clan. So I advise you to be sensible and hand Shi-Er over. Otherwise, our leopard clan will have to ask the Divine Master to seek justice for us." The leopard threatened. Before they came to participate in the competition, the Divine Master's estate had made it clear that they would not allow humans to capture them and force them to acknowledge a master. Otherwise, they would definitely support them. It was precisely because of this promise that they dared to bring their descendants here to see the world. Otherwise, they would never have brought the little beasts here. "Linner, if you're the one who took Junior Leopard away, hand him over." Hearing that leopard's words, Murong and I advised with a gloomy face. Although he was half convinced and half suspicious of that leopard's words, but based on his understanding of Linner, if Linner had really seen that little leopard, it was really possible for her to do such a thing. After all, Linner had always said that she wanted to get a better beast to be her contracted beast. Therefore, she had the motive to do this. It was just that the time was not right now, so he could not and would not condone Linner's actions. "Murong Fei, Which gang are you on? You're actually speaking to them? Hearing Morong Fei's words, Lin was enraged. I'm not siding with anyone. It's just that this can't happen at this moment. So, you'd better take the initiative to return that junior leopard before things get too bad. Otherwise, no one can save you. Morong Fei said impatiently. Towards this woman, his patience was almost exhausted. If it wasn't for the fact that Lin was his fiancée, he couldn't be bothered to care about her. However, having such a fiancée would not be a matter of peace. It seems that after returning, he would have to have a good talk with the elders in the clan. Morong Fei thought to herself. I've never seen any little leopards. Lin said stubbornly, a classic case of not crying until seeing the coffin. Fuck, you damn human. You really don't want face when I give it to you. I've already discussed this with you, but you're still so insensible. Don't blame me for being impolite. The leopard said angrily. After it finished speaking, it looked up to the sky and howled. When Murong and I saw this scene, she quickly cried out not good. In her heart, the leopard was looking for help. Lin, don't make me repeat myself. Return junior leopard to him. Murong Fei's face was black and her tone had become very stiff. Return what? I didn't see any little leopard. Lin face was flushed red as she shouted at the top of her lungs. Morong Fei was very angry and really wanted to slap this troublesome woman to death. But in the end, he didn't do that. Instead, he said to Fengde and the rest, you can do whatever you want with this woman. I don't care anymore. When the people of the Morong family heard this, they knew that their young master was angry. However, their young master's decision was not wrong. This woman should indeed be taught a good lesson. She had caused trouble for them for no reason. She had taken away their child at this time. How could they not be angry? The nature of this matter was much more serious than their trip to the forest to catch beasts and make contracts. If the Divine Master's estate knew that someone had done such a thing in their territory, they would definitely be furious. At the thought of this, the way they looked at Lin became unfriendly. At this moment, deafening sounds of people running could be heard from a distance. The faces of the Morong clan members turned pale when they heard this. How many beasts were there? Those who were timid had already gone weak in their legs. However, Lin continued to hold on. She didn't believe that these animals would dare to do anything to her. Brother Feng, what do you think? Morong D shot a glance at the unrepentant Lin then turned to look at Fengde, his face gloomy. Young Master Morong, I can't do anything about this. Fengde said apologetically. If that damn woman had returned Junior Leopard just now, she wouldn't have called for help. But now, it seemed that they were in a difficult situation. AI, Morong D sighed, and at this time, the distance was getting closer and closer. After a while, the beasts led by the Leopard clan arrived. Not only that, but many other beasts from other clans also came. They were obviously here to support the Leopard clan. When Morong Fei and the rest saw this, they immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. My heavens and earth! There was a black mass in front of him. How many beasts had come? Moreover, every beastie's eyes were filled with ferocity, and they looked at them with an extremely unfriendly gaze. Clan leader, she should have been taken away by this woman. The leopard quickly reported. Damned human! Hand over my grandson! The leader of the leopard clan roared in anger. He was an unusually large leopard and was in his original form. Hence, he was more than twice as tall as Lin. The pressure from his body made it hard for the Morong clan members to breathe. Lin Air's breathing also stopped, and her face was abnormally pale. However, she still stubbornly said, I've never seen any shear. Fengde and the others didn't know what to say about her stubborn mouth. Did this woman really want to see a coffin before she shed tears? Wasn't this a little too cheap? He was looking for abuse. At this moment, no one was willing to sympathize with her. The Morong family members even subconsciously stayed away from her to avoid the Leopard clan's anger. Hello, Patriarch Bao. Morong and I, the young master of the Morong family. Seeing that the old leopard was about to get angry, Morong quickly introduced himself. Not only that, but he also lowered his status very much. After all, The old leopard's strength was equivalent to a human reverent god. The Morong family? Oomph. We've always minded our own business, but you've taken my grandson away. You are the one who provoked us first. Old Leopard glanced at Morong Fei and said indifferently, but his tone was very unfriendly. Patriarch Bao, although this matter has nothing to do with the Morong family, Lin is my fiancée after all. Therefore, I'm deeply regretful of what she has done. I hope that you can give me some time. I will try my best to make her hand over Junior Leopard. Morong and I said after thinking for a while. His words were also considered affectionate and righteous. He not only explained that this matter had nothing to do with the Morong family, but he also did not deny the relationship with Lin. At the same time, he also expressed his goodwill. In this way, even Old Leopard had a new level of respect for him. Good. If you can bring my grandson back unscathed, I will not blame the Morong clan for this. Old Leopard said after thinking for a while. Thank you for your magnanimity, Leopard Chief. Morong and I was very grateful, and at the same time, she heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the Leopard clan would not vent their anger on her. However, how could she make Lin hand over Junior Leopard willingly? She was in a difficult position. After all, she knew Lin character very well. She was a rather willful and unreasonable woman. However, she was not without her nemesis. Thinking of this, Morong and I had an idea. Chapter 1925. The Foodie, She 3. After whispering to Old Leopard, the Morong family brought Lin Fongda and the rest back to the imperial city. And Lin was also strictly guarded by Morong dismen. Although the Leopard clan had not found Junior Leopard yet, they did not continue to make things difficult for the Morong clan after knowing his whereabouts. However, there were a few more leopards patrolling outside the inn where the Morong clan stayed. After Lung Ruoxue heard Fongda and the others report, she guessed that Morong Fei must have thought of some idea. However, if it was her, she wouldn't be so gentle to that woman, especially when that woman had made her the scapegoat. However, she wanted to know what Morong Fei would do, so she decided to wait and see. Just as Lung Ruoxue and the rest were waiting with the members of the Leopard clan, the competition between the magical beasts continued as scheduled. Although Fongda and the others still went to watch the battle every day, they did not dare to speak carelessly, in case they were scolded by the orcs again. However, with the leopard tribe's strong publicity, the orcs were much friendlier to them. This could be considered a pleasant surprise. A few days later, Morong Fei personally came to visit and sent Junior Leopard to Lung Ruoxue's residence. As soon as the Junior Leopard saw Lung Ruoxue, he immediately wrapped himself around her. Lung Ruoxue did not know whether to laugh or cry. Why did you send this little guy to me? Lung Ruoxue didn't understand. Shouldn't Morong Yuan have sent this little leopard to the Leopard clan? One had to know that the little fellow's family had been worried to death over the past few days. I also want to. However, this little thing refused to go back and insisted that I bring it to you. Morong Fei said helplessly. Little guy, is there something you need from me? Lung Ruoxue bent down to pick up Junior Leopard and asked with a puzzled look. Good food, the little leopard said in a baby voice. It was still too small to speak properly. Upon hearing this, Lung Ruoxue's face was filled with black lines. Could it be that this little fellow had snuck out of the Leopard clan's territory just to ask for good food from her? In fact, she had guessed it right. This little leopard had left the Leopard clan's protection because of his gluttony. He wanted to find Lung Ruoxue, but unfortunately, he had no idea where Lung Ruoxue lived. Hence, he had been coaxed by someone and left with Lin. Fortunately, Lin liked him and did not treat him badly. Otherwise, it would have left a shadow in his young heart. Looking at Lung Ruoxue's conflicted expression, Morong Fei couldn't help but snicker. It knew that you had good food in your hands, so it kept pestering me to bring it to you. In fact, the reason it was taken away by Lin was because Lin had promised it that she would bring it to you. However, Lin was clearly lying to it. This fact made Morong Fei rather speechless, but luckily, he had already gotten used to it. You little glutton. Lung Ruoxue was helpless. In order to get good food from her, Junior Leopard kept playing around and acting cute. He even rolled around on her palm. Lung Ruakshu's heart softened when she saw this. After taking out a few fruits and placing them together with Junior Leopard on the table, Lung Ruashua left it alone. Seeing that there was food, Junior Leopard also buried his head and started eating. At this moment, nothing was more important than eating. Seeing this, Murong D couldn't help but smile. It seems like it really likes you. By the way, I've already sent someone to inform the Leopard clan. I believe that they'll be here soon. Who knew that just as Murong Fei's voice fell, a dong-dong sound rang out from outside the door. Fonda quickly went to open the door, and a group of anxious leopards ran in. Shia, my Shia. The female leopard took the lead and rushed towards the little leopard that was eating happily. Junior Leopard raised his head and called out softly, "Mother, you've come." After saying that, it lowered its head and began to eat again. Seeing this, the female leopard carefully sized up the little leopard. Seeing that it didn't seem to have suffered too much, she didn't disturb the little leopard's enjoyment of eating. Instead, she squatted by the table and looked at the snow-white little leopard on the table with a face full of love. At this moment, the leopard clan leader walked in front of Lung Ruashue and the rest and said, "Human, thank you for helping our leopard clan find Shi'er." The leopard clan was extremely grateful for Lung Ruashue and the rest's help. As for Murong Fei, she was completely ignored by the leopard tribe leader. After all, from his point of view, that was what Murong Fei should do to get rid of this disaster. Naturally, there was no need to thank her. Who asked the woman who stole Shi'er to be in cahoots with them? Old Leopard was very clear about this. "You're too kind, Chief Bao. It's all thanks to young Master Muron's cooperation that we were able to find Shi'er." Lung Ruashue smiled as she reminded him, Their people took Shi'er away, so can't he just not cooperate?" Old Leopard wasn't grateful to Murong Fei, but when Murong Fei heard this, she could only smile bitterly. After all, what Old Leopard said was right. The reason why he did this was all for the sake of the family. "Little Murong, where's that woman?" At this time, Old Leopard's shrewd eyes stared at Murong and I as he asked directly. "She's still locked up in the inn," Murong D said. Although he did not know what the Old Leopard wanted to do with Lin he still told the truth. Without the Old Leopard's permission, he really did not dare to let Lin go. "Oh, very good. If you hand over that damned human to me, the Murong family will have nothing to do with this," the Old Leopard said with satisfaction. "I wonder how the Leopard clan leader plans to punish Lin." Murong Yuan could not help but ask, "What's wrong? I can't bear to part with that woman." The Old Leopard's eyes glinted as he teased. "No. However, the reason why Lin is willing to hand Shi'er over is all thanks to her family's ancestor. So, if possible, please don't take it out on Lin Air's family. After all, this is only Lin Air's fault." Murong and I couldn't help but plead. Lin Air's stubbornness could only be cured by her ancestor. Therefore, as soon as this matter came out, she immediately sent people to invite Lin Air's ancestor over. And the ancestor's action was indeed effective. Although Lin was unwilling, she still handed Junior Leopard to them. Seeing that Junior Leopard was a little listless and not hurt, their hearts were immediately put at ease. Seeing that my Shi'er hasn't been hurt, I want to take my anger out on her and won't kill her, but she can be spared from death, but she still has to suffer. She's made us worry for several days, so we naturally won't let her have an easy time. You don't have any objections, do you? Old Leopard asked directly. After listening to Old Leopard's words, Murong and I was relieved and smiled. Lin Air's family's ancestor said that their family's younger generation is insensible. You can punish them however you want. They won't have any objections. As for himself, he would not have any objections. That's for the best, kid. When are you going to hand that woman over to me? Old Leopard couldn't wait anymore. They'll have someone send her to you in a while. Murong Fei hurriedly replied. Well, you're very smart, kid. Not bad. Old Leopard was very satisfied with Murong Fei's tactfulness. Following that, Murong and I exchanged a few more words with Old Leopard and then left. In the next few days, the beast races competition had also entered the semi-final stage. However, as the semi-finals began in full swing, a woman's wail could be heard from time to time in the imperial city. The wail was extremely miserable, and everyone in the beast could not help but feel their hair stand on end. It was needless to say that the wail was from Lin Er. In these days, the happiest one was undoubtedly that foodie she Er. In order to eat delicious food every day, it simply stayed at Lung Ruoxu's place and refused to leave. In order to protect its child, the female leopard had no choice but to stay. With them around, the leopards of the leopard clan naturally became frequent visitors. Furthermore, as long as they came to visit, Fonda and the rest would entertain them with good food and drinks. In a few days, the relationship between Fonda and the leopard clan had improved by leaps and bounds, and they were only short of calling each other brothers. The leopards were also surprised to find that after eating for a few days, their strong and well-proportioned bodies were gone, and each leopard had grown a circle of meat. This fact put many leopards on guard. After all, leopards were known for their speed. If they were too fat, their speed would naturally not be able to increase. However, with so many delicacies in front of them, it seemed quite difficult to make them just watch and not eat. Therefore, for a moment, the leopards were in a dilemma. But soon, they came up with a good idea. Every time they had a full meal, they would take the initiative to fight with people. Needless to say, these people were none other than Fonda and his men. With food and exercise, the leopards were happy, but Fonda and the others were extremely depressed. They were trained by the leopards every day like dead dogs. Unless they were too tired to get up, the leopards would never stop clawing. As time passed, Fonda and the rest suffered unspeakable hardships, but Lung Ruoxue was happy to see it happen. She even encouraged the leopards to find Fonda and the rest to spar with. With Lung Ruoxu's permission, the leopards were even more motivated. Time passed. Very soon, it was time for the final stage of the magical beast competition. There were a total of 10 major races participating in the final stage. Other than the 4 kings of the magical beast race, the fox race, leopard race, lion race, and other powerful magical beast races had also entered the final stage without any suspense. In reality, from Lung Ruoxu's point of view, there was no suspense in the finals. If there were no accidents, the champion should be one of the 4 king-level divine beasts. However, such a legitimate battle was also a rare opportunity for the beasts. Thus, the beasts, who knew that they were only supporting roles, were determined to give it their all. Chapter 1926, Banquet 1. On the day of the finals, it could be considered a grand event for the beast race. When Lung Ruoxue and the others arrived at the competition grounds, the audience seats were almost fully occupied. Seeing this, Fonda could not help but click his tongue. He secretly transmitted his voice to Lung Ruoxue. "Miss, I didn't expect so many beasts to be watching a competition without any suspense. Didn't that old leopard say it?" It was rare for the beasts to have such a lively atmosphere. Therefore, even the beasts who had no chance of winning the finals did not leave. "AI, we're late, and we don't know if there are any seats left," Lung Ruoxue said, feeling slightly depressed. The beast races competition would not specially reserve seats for the human race, so they had to make reservations in advance. However, there was no chance to make a reservation for the finals. Therefore, they had to arrive early and find their own seats. Initially, she thought that she and the others had arrived very early, but who knew that these beasts had arrived even earlier than them? Lung Ruoxu's beautiful eyes searched for empty seats, and she slowly felt depressed. As far as she could see, the audience seats seemed to have been filled. At this moment, a leopard walked up to them and grinned. "Why are you guys so late?" We thought we were early," Lung Ruoxue said, a little embarrassed. "Come with me. The chief has reserved a seat for you." The leopard smiled, then turned around elegantly to lead the way. Lung Ruoxue and the rest were elated when they saw this. It seemed like it was the right decision to build a relationship with the beasts. "Isn't there a seat now?" The leopard brought Lung Ruoxue and the rest of their assigned positions and pointed at the few empty seats beside them. You guys can sit there." After saying that, it also found a place to sit down. The leopard clan had entered the finals, so their seats were allocated to them by the Divine Master's estate in advance. They were seated relatively at the front and had a good view. Lung Ruoxue and the others thanked them and sat down. Just as she sat down, Junior Leopard came to look for Lung Ruoxue again. Her moist, silver eyes stared at Lung Ruoxue expectantly, but she did not say a word. However, Lung Ruoxue understood the moment she saw her. This little foodie was here for food. She helplessly took out a piece of dried meat and placed it in front of Xier's mouth. Xier unreservedly opened her mouth and bit it. Then, she jumped onto Lung Ruoxue's lap and started eating with ease. When the female leopard saw this, she stole an apologetic glance at Lung Ruoxue. She did not know what to say about her own child's gluttony. "Little girl, guess which of the 4 divine beast kings will win the championship?" The leopard tribe leader turned around and asked, successfully changing the topic. "I heard that the Qilin clan is the strongest among the 4 king divine beasts." Lung Ruoxue told Old Leopard what she had heard from the old phoenixes. "Hee, you're right, but the number of people in the Qilin clan is the smallest and can't be compared to the other 3 clans. Thus, it's hard to say who will win." Old Leopard reminded with a faint smile. "It can't be that the Qilin clan can't even find 3 clansmen, right?" Lung Ruoxue could not help but ask. "This? Of course you can." The old leopard nodded. He understood what the little girl meant. As long as there were 3 people representing their race in the competition, and the participants were carefully selected by each race, they must have extraordinary strength. If that's the case, the Qilin clan has a great chance of winning. In reality, from the old phoenixes, she knew that the current dragon, phoenix, and white tiger clans were no longer the same as before. Many of their powerful cultivators have been sealed. Hence, the strength of the 3 clans was no longer as strong as before. As for the Qilin clan, the old phoenixes were not sure if they had been affected by the incident back then. After all, the Qilin clan had always kept a low profile compared to the other 3 clans. As such, they knew very little about the Qilin clan situation. Furthermore, Lung Ruoxue also wanted to choose one of these 4 races and interact with them. After much thought, she chose the Qilin race, which she knew the least. However, she was in a difficult position as to how she could approach the Qilin clan without making a sound. After all, this kind of divine beast clan with a transcendent status in the divine realm was not easy to get along with. More importantly, she could not be too brazen. That's reasonable. However, it won't be easy for the Qilin race to win the championship from the other 3 races. Although Old Leopard agreed with Lung Ruoxue's words, he did not fully agree with her. "Hee, well, wait and see." Lung Ruoxue still favored the Qilin clan. As the man and leopard conversed in low voices, the match on the field began. The first to fight was the Phoenix tribe and the Wolf tribe, using a 3-on-3 system. As soon as the whistle was blown, the Phoenixes released their auras. The werewolves, who were standing in front of them, began to tremble. Seeing this, the 3 Phoenixes immediately struck while the iron was hot. They kicked the 3 shivering wolves off the stage. With just one move, the Phoenix tribe won the battle, and most of it was due to the suppression of their bloodline. In reality, the suppression of the beast bloodline had no advantage at all to those beasts whose bloodlines were not as noble as their own. Furthermore, using this move right from the start seemed unfair to the beasts. However, the beasts valued the strong more than the humans. Hence, what Lung Ruoxue thought was an unfair competition was not unacceptable to the beasts. After all, this kind of suppression was inborn and could be considered a natural advantage of high-end beasts. It couldn't be erased. The Phoenix clan had won their first battle. Next up are the White Tiger race and the Lion race. The beastie of these 2 races all looked majestic, especially the White Tiger race. In their true forms, not only were they huge in size, they were also unbelievably beautiful. Although the White Tiger tribe didn't display the might of their bloodline as the Phoenix tribe did, their roars still had a certain suppressive effect on the ferocious beasts. This was also a signal for them to attack. Sure enough, as soon as the long tiger roar ended, 3 graceful white tigers leaped into the air like 3 white lightning bolts, attacking the Lion Clan. The Lion Clan was completely defeated. The White Tiger Clan directly entered the next round without any dispute. After that, it was the Dragon Clan's turn. The last was the Cheelin Clan. The 4 great King Divine beasts had all defeated their opponents without any suspense, and they had not fought in the first round. After that, through Old Leopard's explanation, Lung Roashue and the rest found out that the 4 King Divine beasts had entered the finals as seeded teams. Hence, it was destined that they would not meet each other in the first round of the finals. The following matches would use the referee ring system. Apart from the Dragon, Phoenix, White Tiger, and Cheelin races, the other beast race that had entered the top 5 was actually the Fox race, which did not appear to be very strong. The 5 teams would each compete in 4 matches, and the final rankings would be determined by the total points. The 5 clans round-robin tournament was divided into 4 days. Each day would have 1 round. The opponents would be decided by drawing lots. In other words, there were still 4 days before the Elite Grand Meeting would end. Chapter 1927. The Banquet. 2. Before the start of the competition, Lung Roashue had informed Fonda and the others that they would be leaving immediately after the competition. After the 5 clans round-robin tournament had officially started, the atmosphere in the competition ground became even more heated. If it wasn't for the fact that the Leopard clan had taken a spot for Lung Roashue and the others, they would have been standing and watching the battle. There were 2 matches on the first day, and 4 teams were participating. The Phoenix clan had a bye. The Dragon race's opponent was the White Tiger race, while the Cheelin race's opponent was the Fox race. There was no suspense in the battle between the Cheelin race and the Fox race. The battle between them was almost one-sided. Therefore, the Cheelin race's competition ended in less than 10 minutes, which included the time when the 2 races stared at each other. Whereas the Dragon race and White Tiger race's match was evenly matched. The 2 races fought until it was hard to decide. In the end, the Dragon race only used a slight advantage in the air and narrowly won the White Tiger race, obtaining victory in the first match. After the match, Old Leopard said with emotion, "AI, there's no way we can compete with those flying in the sky. It's good to have wings." He was a little envious, jealous, and hateful. What's there to be envious about? Apart from the Dragon clan and the Phoenix clan, the other beasts that entered the finals didn't have wings. Lung Roashue glanced at the Old Leopard, who was remorseful, and reminded him, "That may be so, but having wings isn't too much." The Old Leopard sighed. Among the godly skills of the wind attribute, isn't there the art of flying? Therefore, not all of the people who run on the ground can't fly. Lung Roashue laughed. "Little girl, not all of the wind attribute divine skills of our beasts have the ability to fly. Therefore, many of the beasts with the wind attribute can't fly, but their running speed is faster than many beasts, such as our Leopard clan." Old Leopard explained. "Oh," Lung Roashue nodded. It was no wonder the Old Leopard was so depressed. Among these leopards, a good portion of them had the wind attribute. It was a pity that their divine skills were different from humans. "AI, girl, let's go back." The Old Leopard was obviously listless. Lung Roashue nodded and left the arena with the Leopard clan. For the next 2 days, Lung Roashue didn't go to the competition venue to watch the matches. However, Fonda and the rest did. Furthermore, after they returned, they reported to her about the matches with exaggerated details. As for the matches in the past 2 days, other than the White Fox clan who played the role of accompanying the Crown Prince to read, the other 4 clans had their own victories and losses. The difference in points between them wasn't that big, so the match tomorrow would be extremely important. Among the 5 clans, the Phoenix clan was temporarily in first place, followed closely by the Cheelin clan. And on the last day, their opponents were the Dragon race and the Tiger race. On the morning of the last day of the competition, Lung Roashue and the others headed to the competition grounds after packing up. Their seats were still reserved for them by the Leopard clan. After today, the elite competition will truly end. In the audience stand, Old Leopard sighed again. Will you leave immediately after the match? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. For the past 2 days, she had been thinking about how she could get close to the Qilin clan. However, all the plans she had come up with had been rejected by the spiritual beasts. Hence, she could only give up on this idea for now. Yes, although there's a banquet in the Divine Master's estate, we magical beasts are not interested in those things. So, we'll be leaving as soon as the competition is over. The old leopard nodded. A banquet? Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised. Why didn't she hear about any banquet after the human race's competition ended? Could it be that the Divine Master's estate was also receiving preferential treatment? Hee, it's a tradition, and it's the same for you humans after the competition. The old leopard laughed. How come I didn't know? Lung Ruoxue was confused. Even if you know, you might not go, right? So, I guess someone has rejected it for you. The old leopard said with certainty. Although it had not spent a long time with this little human girl, it had a clear understanding of her character. This girl was very lazy. Why would she attend a banquet? Could it be Godfather? Lung Ruoxue guessed. In fact, she had guessed it right. The master of the Ning family had indeed declined the invitation for her. To be more precise, he had not informed her at all and had attended in her place in the name of the Ning family. Master Ning's actions were the result of a discussion between the few old men. After all, they did not wish for Lung Ruoxue to face the Divine Master so soon. It's possible. That banquet isn't really that interesting, so it's better to go home earlier. Old Leopard laughed drily. Lung Ruoxue nodded. In reality, she wasn't too interested in banquets and the like. As the saying goes, there's no such thing as a good banquet. Who knew what would happen at a banquet? Little girl, when the competition is over, why don't we go together? At this time, Old Leopard suggested. All right. Lung Ruoxue did not have any objections to this suggestion. Furthermore, she knew that the leopard clan's territory was on the way to her own land of evil demons. Suddenly, a loud phoenix cry resounded through the sky. Lung Ruoxue and the rest's attention was instantly drawn to the competition ground. The match began. The 2 matches on the last day would be held simultaneously for the sake of fairness. The battle between the dragon and the phoenix. The collision between the Qilin and the white tiger attracted the attention of many beasts. Naturally, Lung Ruoxue and the rest were attracted as well. In the middle of the arena, there were 2 huge rings, and each of them had 6 huge beasts. They were arrogant and proud of themselves. A dragon's cry, a phoenix's cry, a tiger's roar, and a Qilin's roar rang out continuously. Following that, several figures that were as fast as lightning tangled together. The beasts, Lung Ruoxue, and the rest could only see a blur in front of them. Other than that, there were also the sounds of explosions caused by the collision of divine skills. At this moment, half of the sky was dyed red, and the temperature rose rapidly. Without asking, Lung Ruoxue and the rest knew that this was the Phoenix clan's natal flame burning. In contrast, it was the Dragon clan's dragon breath. It was also something used to roast people, so the temperature rose rapidly. However, the White Tiger clan seemed to be opposing them. The 3 white tigers on the stage actually used water attribute divine skills in unison. In an instant, the temperature dropped by a lot. A light drizzle started to fall from the sky. When the Qilin clan saw this, they did not want to be outdone and continued to kick out with their hooves. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blew on the arena. What are the 4 clans doing? Seeing their performance, Lung Ruoxue felt a headache. Could this still be considered a competition? It was clearly battle energy. Girl, you'll get used to it. They've always been like this. On the surface, they look harmonious, but in reality, the 4 clans are all competing with each other. Old Leopard said. Then can this competition be completed in passing? Lung Ruoxue asked with uncertainty. I can. They were all determined to compete for superiority. Besides, the Phoenix kind had the upper hand in the competition a few days ago. Therefore, the other 3 clans are all holding their breath. Old Leopard said with an evil smile. Chapter 1928. The Banquet 3. Oh, I hope they don't destroy the public property of the Divine Master's estate. Lung Ruashua looked at them and started to worry for the Divine Master's residence out of boredom. However, just as she finished speaking, everyone and the beasts heard a bang. Bang! A few loud bangs were heard. After that, they saw the tall and sturdy stage collapse magnificently. At this moment, the dragon race and the phoenix race were floating in mid-air, facing each other. As for the white tiger race and the Chelan race, they had naturally landed on the empty ground in the middle of the stage, glaring at each other like tigers eyeing their prey. Miss, you're really good at divination. Fonda was speechless. Divine calculation? You'd rather say I'm a jinx. Lung Ruashua lifted her eyelids slightly and said in an unpleasant tone, I wouldn't dare. Fonda quickly said, although he had thought of it in his heart. As a man, if you dare to think, you must dare to admit it. Seeing through Fonda's thoughts, Lung Ruashua said with a look of disdain. In fact, she didn't think there was anything wrong with her doomsayer mouth. It didn't belong to her anyway, so she wouldn't feel bad if it was destroyed. Mrs. Wright, Captain, you're not being honest. When Lin Yuan saw this, he added fuel to the fire. Miss Fonda glared at Lin Yuan and looked at Lung Ruashua pitifully. However, Lung Ruashua only snorted coldly and turned her beautiful eyes to the competition arena. These two matches could be considered a destruction of the Divine Lord's residence. After the four clans had destroyed the stage, they had also attacked the audience. At this moment, almost half of the seats had been destroyed by them. The beasts who were watching the battle from the audience had scattered like birds and beasts. The judge had even maintained a safe area with them. However, Lung Ruashua and the others remained calmly in their seats. Little girl, the competition seems to be quite dangerous. Why don't we go back first? Seeing the four clans' stance of not giving up until one of them died, the old leopard was a little timid. If he accidentally hurt his leopards, he would be heartbroken. Old leopard's words made Lung Ruashua's forehead fill with black lines. What was going on? The match wasn't over yet, and he had to leave early? Little girl, in the previous matches, these four clans actually didn't use their full strength, so I think they're all holding back and waiting for this last match. And this last battle should be considered a battle of life and death between them. I think we should just hide. Old Leopard made his words more clear and looked at Lung Ruashua with anticipation, hoping that she would advance and retreat with him. But if we leave, we won't know who will win the championship. Lung Ruashua was a little hesitant. It doesn't matter. Staying alive is more important. The four clans seem to be ruthless. If we continue to watch the battle, we will certainly be affected. It's not worth it, Old Leopard advised earnestly. All right then. Although it was a pity, Lung Ruashua had to admit that Old Leopard's words made sense. Furthermore, if they were injured because of watching the competition between the four clans, they probably wouldn't be able to get any compensation. Thinking about it this way, it was more worthwhile to leave this place. After making their decision, Lung Ruashua and the rest followed the Leopard clan and left the competition grounds. Following behind them were many other beasts. After all, they understood that there were many beasts. After leaving the arena, Huan Chen's voice rang out in Lung Ruashua's heart. Little girl, quickly leave this place. Huan Chen couldn't wait any longer when the competition was about to end. All right then. Seeing how anxious Huan Chen was, Lung Ruashua could not bear to dampen his spirits. After all, she was the one who wanted to stay and watch the Beast Races competition. Huan Chen had wanted to leave long ago. Now that the Beast Races competition was coming to an end, she naturally had no reason to stay. After communicating with the Old Leopard, the group of people left the Imperial City quietly with the Leopard clan. Huan Chen heaved a sigh of relief after leaving the Imperial City without any hindrance. However, he knew very well that this was only because his smokescreen had worked temporarily. It wouldn't take long for that woman to react. At that time, the Divine Realm would probably not be at peace. However, the law did not have its responsibilities. He had given so many divine artifacts to people. Even if that woman wanted to investigate, it would probably take a long time. By that time, the little girl's strength should have improved. At the thought of this, Huan Chen's mood was obviously better. He did not continue to urge Lung Ruoxue to hurry. By the time they returned to the land of demons, Lung Ruoxue was surprised to find that their house had already been built. Looking at the familiar house, Lung Ruoxue and the others were all excited, especially Lung Qingtian. He had deep feelings for his home in the water margin continent. After all, it carried too many memories. Therefore, when he saw that the God world had a home like the water margin continent, he was so excited that tears welled up in his eyes. Grandpa, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but call out in worry when she saw how agitated her grandfather was. Ha ha, I'm fine. I was just too excited. Lung Qingtian wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes as he spoke in embarrassment. Old man, why are you so excited? Go and occupy a room. Our rooms will be taken away by others. When the disheveled old man saw this, he could not help but roar. This was because he knew that the first elder and the others from the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters had already gone to choose their own rooms. They really didn't know what being polite was. He couldn't help but complain in his heart. However, he only dared to think about it in his heart and didn't dare to say it out loud. After all, those people were his elders. With that said, the disheveled old man ran off. Lung Ruoxue looked at the disheveled old man's anxious actions and could not help but laugh. In reality, no one would occupy their rooms at all. This was because when she first built this house, she had reserved rooms for those who were on good terms with her. Furthermore, there were many guest rooms in this house. There were also 2 other courtyards that were not considered small. Other than that, she also had a personal room given to her by the great elder. No matter how she looked at it, she would not be short of accommodation. Master, this is our surprise for you. Seeing its master's excited expressions, the Silver Rat King said in a soft voice with a shy face. Hee, thank you. I really didn't expect the house to be completed so quickly. Lung Ruoxue was really happy. Hee, it's all thanks to the help of the beastmen in the land of evil demons. Otherwise, the house wouldn't have been built so quickly. The Silver Rat King didn't dare to claim credit and quickly said, Yes, I know. Silver Rat King, go and invite them to be my guests tomorrow night. I want to properly thank them. Lung Ruoxue ordered after some thought. No problem. The Silver Rat King replied and immediately left the house. At this moment, the leopard tribe members who had finished touring the area came to them with faces full of admiration. The beasts had always been comfortable with their own residence. However, after seeing such an exquisite and beautiful house, they actually became envious. The old leopard even felt that his decision to visit Lung Ruoxue's territory was a wise and great decision. Otherwise, they would not have been able to see such a good house. As a matter of fact, Lung Ruoxue's house was not very outstanding compared to many beautiful palace-level buildings in the divine world. However, the house was very practical. Moreover, the feeling of home was unusually warm and strong, even making people involuntarily indulge in it. This was something that many beautiful but cold palaces could not compare with. Otherwise, Old Leopard would not be so envious. Little girl, this house of yours is really not bad. I wonder if I can often bring my clansmen over to be guests in the future? The Old Leopard asked deliberately. In fact, it was a greeting in disguise. Of course you can. Lung Ruoxue and the rest got along well with the Leopard clan, so they naturally wouldn't reject them. Hee, then I won't be polite. Old Leopard nodded with satisfaction. No need to be polite, just treat this place as your own home. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. She had always been generous to her friends. Yes, yes. The Old Leopard nodded his head repeatedly. Lung Ruoxue's words were exactly what he wanted. In particular, the spirit-gathering formation that Lung Ruoxue had set up made Old Leopard even more determined to come here often in the future. At this time, he had never thought that not only would he bring his clansmen here often, but he would also move his territory here. The next day, Lung Ruoxue then instructed Fonda and the rest to prepare a large amount of food to entertain the beasts that had been invited. When the beasts arrived excitedly, They were dumbfounded when they saw the dazzling array of dishes on the long table in the garden. What were these? The dishes on the table were all things that they had never seen before. Furthermore, the fragrance of the dishes had reached their noses from far away. If they were not afraid of embarrassing themselves in front of l'enrich, they would have pounced on the delicious food. Looking at the bewildered expressions on the bewildered faces of the bewildered beasts, l'enrich smiled faintly and said, "I don't know what you like, so I ordered people to prepare some dishes of all kinds. There are stir-fried vegetables, hot pot, cold dishes, and your most common barbecue." L'enrich continued. Following that, she carefully introduced how to eat the various dishes. Many of the beasts were very interested in the small pots and asked about how to eat the hot pot. After l'enrich answered them one by one and demonstrated to them, the beasts were tempted to give it a try. A fire wolf had just picked up a piece of meat as thin as a cicada's wing with its claws when it was knocked away by its companion. "What are you doing?" The fire wolf that wanted to eat meat growled angrily. "Don't use your claws, that's rude." His companion reminded him in a low voice. Chapter 1929. Meeting Huan Chun 1. Then what should I use? The fire wolf was confused. They had been eating for so many years, but they had always used their claws. "Use the chopsticks. You pig." His companion roared in exasperation. "You're the pig. I'm clearly a wolf." When the fire wolf heard that it was being called a pig, it was immediately enraged. "All right, you're a wolf that's stupider than a pig," his companion said in a low voice. As for how he knew that pigs were stupid, he had naturally heard about it from Fengde and the others, and he had remembered it. "You said I'm stupid? Don't tell me you know how to use chopsticks." The fire wolf glanced at the long and thin chopsticks in l'enrich's hand, its face full of dissatisfaction. Chopsticks were things that humans like to use. How would they know how to use them? I also don't know how to." His companion lowered his head in shame. At the same time, he was thinking to himself, although he didn't know how to use chopsticks, at least he knew that he couldn't use his claws in front of so many important human figures. Otherwise, where would the reputation of the Fire Wolf clan be? "Then why did you say I'm stupid?" The Fire Wolf glared at its companion in anger. "I just wanted to remind you, we have to be careful of our influence." His companion lowered his head and whispered. Although the two wolves' conversation was very soft, it still reached l'enrich and the rest's ears without missing a single detail. When they heard the conversation between the two little beasts, they could not help but laugh. "Hee, little Shue, these little fellows are quite interesting." The master of the Ning family laughed heartily. He couldn't deny that these two little things had made him happy. Yup, l'enrich nodded in agreement. She had always felt that beasts were cuter than humans. After some thought, l'enrich smiled and said, "You don't have to be so formal. I invited you here today to thank you. So, you can eat whatever you want. You don't have to care about what we think. We don't mind." "Ha, that's right. Everyone do, as you please." The master of the Ning family agreed. When the two little beasts heard this, they immediately opposed in unison. "No, we have to follow the rules and not embarrass the wolf tribe." In fact, what the two beasts were thinking was that since they would be neighbors with these humans in the future, they naturally couldn't be as casual as before. They had to learn some human rules. They weren't afraid that these humans would look down on them, but for the sake of their beastly reputation. Since that's the case, you can start with the chopsticks," the master of the Ning family said with a smile, not trying to persuade them. And the two little beasts nodded and were about to pick up the chopsticks on the table. However, when they looked at their claws, they were in a dilemma. Although their claws were separated into pieces, they were very short. Moreover, most of them were meat pads. The sharpest claws and toes were obviously not suitable for holding chopsticks. What should they do? The two little beasts stared at each other, and then they reached for the chopsticks on the table together. However, the round bamboo chopsticks were as slippery as a loach, and they could not pick them up at all. "They'll grab it. They'll grab it. I don't believe it." The dignified Firewolf clan could not do anything to two small chopsticks. The two little beasts thought to themselves at the same time, but they really couldn't do anything about the two chopsticks. However, the two little beasts were very determined. More importantly, they had already gotten into a fight with the two chopsticks in front of them. They wouldn't let this matter rest until they got their hands on the two detestable chopsticks. Seeing the two of them so insistently wanting to learn how to use chopsticks, Lung Ruashua and the rest could not bear to continue watching. Although they found it funny at the start, they did not think so after watching for a long time. Wasn't it making things difficult for the wolves by letting them use chopsticks the humans were good at? Initially, Lung Ruashua did not expect them to use chopsticks. However, these two stubborn little fellows were actually at loggerheads with the pair of chopsticks. Lung Ruashua and the rest did not know whether to laugh or cry at this fact. However, the other beasties who were here to attend the banquet were probably even more depressed. Although they had thought of using chopsticks before, they retreated when they saw that the two wolf pups had spent so much effort but could not hold the tiny bamboo chopsticks in their paws. Moreover, many of the beasties were praying in their hearts not to let them succeed. Otherwise, it would be embarrassing for them if they used their claws while the other two were using chopsticks. However, hearing the sound of chopsticks falling on the table, it seemed to be embarrassing for all the beasts. For a moment, the beasties were in a dilemma. The thoughts of wanting them to succeed, but at the same time afraid of them succeeding, alternated in their hearts. In the end, they could not figure out their own thoughts. After a long time, the two wolf pups were still unable to master how to use the chopsticks. Lung Ruashua and the rest of the beasties could only sigh and admire their unyielding determination. The food was cold, and the humans and beasts were all hungry. In the end, Baby couldn't help but eat it first. Seeing that a beast had taken the lead to eat, the beasts also started to gobble down the food without holding back. In an instant, many beasts' mouths were stuffed with food, and their claws were also full of food. Their eyes were fixed on the other food on the table. They were eating what was in their claws and looking at what was in their bowls. Lung Ruashua and the rest looked at the way the beasties ate like a swarm of locusts. They could not help but feel grateful that they did not sit at the same table with those big eaters. Otherwise, they would have long since lost their share of the food. Thinking up to this point, they started digging in. As everyone ate, they admired the two wolf pups who spared no effort in learning how to use chopsticks. They deeply admired their enthusiasm for learning. At this moment, a surprised voice rang in everyone's ears. "I know how to use it." Instantly, black lines appeared on the foreheads of everyone and the beasts. They had all finished eating and want to pick it up too. The other one also called out happily. Everyone was even more silent. Sensing the strange atmosphere, the two wolf pups were confused. What was going on? They had learned how to use chopsticks, but why were no humans or beast happy for them? Not getting the expected praise, the two wolf cubs were very depressed. However, when they accidentally saw the mess on the table, they were even more depressed. Where's the food? Where did all the food go? The two little wolves howled in disbelief. Then, they looked at each other. From each other's eyes, they saw disbelief. "We've finished them all." An elder of the Fire Wolf clan couldn't help but speak up when he saw that no one was paying attention to his clansmen. "What? How could he do this? You've really gone too far." The two wolf pups howled in anger. Then, the crowd and the beasts saw the two wolf pups, who were on fire from anger, burst into tears. More black lines appeared on everyone's foreheads. Why was she crying? Chapter 1930. Meeting Huan Shun, too. Why are you guys crying? Don't cry. Elder Hualang's face burned when he saw this. How embarrassing. It was too embarrassing. You've all eaten your fill. Why don't you let us cry? We're still hungry. One of the wolf pups howled, while the other glared at its elder. His own clansmen. He didn't even know how to leave some for them. Don't cry. There's still some food left. Elder Hualang had a headache and couldn't help but sneak a glance at his king. These two little wolves were the younger generation of the king's bloodline and were considered the nephews of the clan leader. Therefore, he couldn't hit them or scold them. He could only coax them. Vegetables? Upon hearing this, The two little fire wolves raised their teary eyes and looked at the table, instantly becoming even angrier. There were indeed some leftovers on the table, but they were all vegetables. They were carnivores. How could he only eat vegetables? They wanted to eat meat. They were carnivorous. Do you think we're rabbits? The two little fire wolves were angry, and the consequences were serious. Eating more vegetables is good for the body, the fire wolf elder said in a low voice. When the two little fire wolves heard him say that, they really wanted to jump up and bite him. Wasn't he just standing there and talking without feeling the pain in his back? They were all eating until their brains were full, but he had to eat vegetables like a rabbit? This was really bullying the wolf. Yes, they'll suggest to Uncle that I should give you more vegetables in the future, one of the small wolves said in a gloomy voice. The other one didn't want to be outdone and continued, I suggest that the wolf tribe should eat vegetables instead. We can't let go of good things that are good for health, right, Uncle? And just a bystander. The queen will make the decisions for the wolf tribe. The wolf king saw that he had been innocently named and quickly said. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he immediately received countless disdainful eyes, among which Fengde and the others were the most. This was because the wolf king had stolen the term soy sauce from them. I say, Wolf King, you're the king of a clan. How can you do this? Fengde couldn't help it. This old wolf was too embarrassing for men. How did I do? The Wolf King didn't think that he had done anything wrong. In fact, he had always thought that he was very democratic and listened to the opinions of his clansmen for all matters. He was also a good man who listened to his wife. What a rare quality this was. You're too irresponsible. Fengde pointed it out directly. I am very responsible. If I don't take responsibility, where did my child come from? The Wolf King rolled his eyes and said with a you don't understand look. This is the same thing. Fengde was speechless. He and Wolf King were not on the same channel. Otherwise, why would it be so difficult for them to communicate? More importantly, the Wolf King didn't answer the question. Of course, the Wolf King said matter-of-factly, all right, it's my fault for not being able to understand. Fengde was defeated. It's good that you know. The Wolf King pushed his nose up. Fengde was furious. After taking a deep breath, he decided not to stoop to the level of a wolf. Of course, he kept silent. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxua laughed to herself. This Wolf King was a pain in the ass. How could Fengde possibly explain it to him? After some thought, Lung Ruoxua smiled and said, Wolf King, it's getting late. Shouldn't you all go back? She was a little tired. After hearing Lung Ruoxua's words, the Wolf King widened his eyes in disbelief. Are you chasing us away? How could you do this? We're not leaving yet. You've already eaten. Are you planning to stay the night? Hearing the Wolf King's words, Lung Ruoxua was a little speechless. The other beasties could not help but distance themselves from the Wolf King. It was too embarrassing to stand next to it. Why can't I? We're neighbors, so it's only right for you to let us stay for a night. Besides, it's so late now, and it's not safe for us to walk at night. If anything happens, you'll feel guilty, right? The Wolf King said shamelessly. It wasn't that he didn't want to leave, but the food here was too attractive to him. Moreover, the spiritual energy in this house was much richer than outside, so he really couldn't bear to leave just like this. What if I say I don't feel guilty? Lung Ruoxua was helpless against the Wolf King. She had never seen such a thick-skinned beastie before. Furthermore, the evil demon's land was their territory. Would they be in danger here? She would not believe it, even if she was beaten to death. How is that possible? You can't be that inhumane. You're a good person. I'm very clear about that. So, quickly arrange rooms for us. I see that there are quite a few empty rooms here. The Wolf King urged. In any case, it had already made up its mind not to leave. However, after it had finished speaking, it noticed that Lung Ruoxua and the rest did not move. It then continued, Forget it. I won't trouble you. I'll do it myself. I'll go find a nice room myself. With that, the Wolf King turned around and left to find a room for himself. Seeing the Wolf King's self-introduction and shameless actions, Fengde and the others were even more speechless. No wonder this guy was so famous in the land of evil demons. It seemed that he had no choice but to admit defeat. Miss, are we just going to let it be like this? After a long while, Fonda whispered to Lung Ruoxue. Do you have any good ideas? Lung Ruoxue asked with a faint smile. Actually, from a certain aspect, she still admired Wolf King. I don't have any. Fonda didn't want to deal with the Wolf King. At this moment, the Fire Wolf clan's queen walked to Lung Ruoxue's side with an apologetic expression. I'm sorry for the trouble. He'll try to persuade it to leave. It doesn't matter. Just let it stay for one night. You guys can stay too. After all, we're neighbors. Lung Ruoxue said generously. The beasts in her house had put in a lot of effort, so it was normal for them to stay the night. Thank you. Then we won't be polite. Upon hearing this, the Wolf Queen quickly said. In fact, it was also quite curious about this house. You're welcome. Lung Ruoxue laughed. Then she turned to the other beastie. It's indeed a little late today. All of you should stay the night and go back tomorrow morning. In any case, it didn't matter if they kept one or a group. When the beasts heard this, they were all excited. In fact, they had been drooling over this house for a long time. They had seen it with their own eyes, but they had no chance to live in it. It was impossible not to be tempted. Although they also felt that the Wolf King's thick skin was a little embarrassing, they were quite grateful to the old wolf now. If it was not so shameless, they would not have had the chance to live here. Fonda helped them make the arrangements. Lung Ruoxue looked at the happy beastmen and instructed Fonda. There were too many of them, so one room per person would definitely not be enough. Yes, Fonda replied. Then, with a wave of his hand, he led the beasts out of the garden. However, the two hungry little fire wolves did not leave with Fonda. Chapter 1931. Meeting Huan Shun 3, Sister. We haven't eaten anything yet. The two little fellows looked at Lung Ruoxue pitifully, their eyes still misty. Don't worry. Grape has already gone to prepare food for you. Lung Ruoxue coaxed. She had never been able to resist these cute little fellows. So, before they cried, she had already asked Grape to prepare some food. She couldn't really let these two little things go hungry. Big sister is the best. It's much better than those old fogies who think that eating vegetables is good for health. Oof. From tomorrow onwards, they will be eating vegetables. A wolf cub said hatefully. Yes, but can you two make the decision? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. Of course. We're in charge of the wolves' food. The two wolf pups said at the same time. You guys are really capable. Lung Ruoxue praised. She didn't expect these two little things to be so difficult to deal with. She started to pity those old wolves. Hee. The two wolf pups laughed evilly. At this moment, Grape had finished preparing 2 portions of food and placed them in front of the two wolf pups. Instantly, the fragrance of the food filled the air, causing the two little fellows to drool. Without waiting for Lung Ruoxue's order, the two wolf pups pounced towards the food. They had completely forgotten about the chopsticks. Who asked them to be so afraid? Before they could even master the chopsticks, the food would be gone. Therefore, he would have to slowly practice using chopsticks in the future. After watching the two little fellows gobble down the food and arranging a place for them to stay, Lung Ruoxue and the rest returned to their rooms to rest. The next morning, Lung Ruoxue had just walked out of her room when she heard a pained wail coming from the guest courtyard not far away. Filled with suspicion, everyone went to the guest courtyard at the same time. What's going on? Seeing that unreliable old wolf king rolling around on the ground shamelessly, Lung Ruoxue and the rest were all speechless. What was he up to again? He was fine. I'm fine. When the wolf queen heard Lung Ruoxue's words, her face was filled with awkwardness. She secretly glared at her troublesome man. This detestable thing. This was someone else's territory, yet he had caused their Fire Wolf clan to lose so much face. Are you sure you're fine? Lung Ruoxue was in disbelief. Looking at the old Fire Wolf, it didn't look like he was fine. Moreover, this was her home after all, so she felt that it was better for her to ask clearly. Yes, yes. The Wolf Queen nodded with certainty. However, at this moment, the old Wolf King shouted with a dissatisfied expression. Who said he's fine? We're your guests. How can you abuse us like this? Damn it. You shut up. Without giving Lung Ruoxue and the others a chance to react, the Wolf Queen furiously pulled the old Wolf King's ear and growled in a low voice. When Lung Ruoxue and the rest heard the old Wolf King's words, they were dumbfounded. What was going on? When did they abuse them? Wolf Queen, don't stop it. I want to hear how we mistreated it. After a moment of silence, Lung Ruoxue finally spoke. Miss Lung, don't listen to its nonsense. The Wolf Queen's face was filled with shame as she kept glaring at her man. There are no waves without wind. I believe that the Fire Wolf King wouldn't lie. Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. Human, you know me very well. Hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the old Fire Wolf King's face was filled with pride. It was just short of raising its tail proudly. However, its proud expression, coupled with its image of rolling on the ground, made people speechless. Then tell me, Lung Ruoxue sighed. Then I won't be polite. You've been abusing me, feeding me vegetables early in the morning. I want tea. I want to eat meat. The Fire Wolf King roared in one breath. We haven't even started making breakfast yet. Where did you get the vegetables to eat? Upon hearing this, Grape could not help but doubt. What? You haven't made breakfast yet? Are you guys trying to starve me to death? Grape's words made the Fire Wolf King even angrier. Looking at the Fire Wolf King's reaction, Grape could not help but roll his eyes. Damn it. That's not the main point, okay? Why did this old Fire Wolf always give irrelevant answers? I really don't know what the structure of its brain is. It's so different. I'm asking you where you got the vegetables to eat. After a long while, Grape gritted his teeth and said, Miss Grape were the ones who gave this to Uncle. At this moment, two little fire wolves appeared out of nowhere and said, So that's how it is. Fire Wolf King, did you hear that? This is none of our business. We didn't abuse you. Grape quickly said, You guys didn't make me breakfast. The Fire Wolf King emphasized. It no longer used the word abuse. Uncle, we're guests. We have to be self-aware. Don't bother Grape's sister and the others with breakfast. We've already prepared it for you. Hurry up and eat. It won't taste good if it's cold. A little fire wolf urged with an evil smile. When the crowd heard the little fire wolf's words, they couldn't help but compare the two fire wolves in their hearts. Sigh. The young one was more understanding than the old one. This old fire wolf was really regressing the more he lived. However, none of them had any intention of getting involved in the dispute between the fire wolves, so they all kept silent. I don't want to eat the breakfast you guys made. Old Fire Wolf looked at the vegetables on the table that had been cooked into a dark green color and said with a look of disgust, Uncle, you're hurting us by saying that. The two little fire wolves revealed a sad expression at the same time and spoke in unison. I appreciate your filial piety, but don't even think about making me eat the food you make. The old Fire Wolf King was very stubborn. That was pig food, wasn't it? It wasn't for wolves at all. Uncle, eating vegetables is good for your health. Uncle, hurry up and eat. The two little fire wolves ignored the Fire Wolf King's words and simply placed the breakfast they had prepared in front of the Fire Wolf King. They looked at it with anticipation. Looking at the broken leaves, the old fire wolf dared to swear in its heart that the vegetables were definitely not fresh. It might even be leftovers from yesterday. So how could it eat it? In fact, it had guessed right. The breakfast made by the two little fire wolves was indeed the leftover vegetables from last night. Furthermore, they had picked them up from the trash. After they were done washing, they hesitated for a long time before finally deciding to serve the food to the Fire Wolf King. However, who knew that not only was the old wolf unwilling to eat, it was even rolling around on the ground shamelessly. For a moment, they were at a loss. I'm not eating. I'm not hungry. Take this food and give it to the elders. The Fire Wolf King rolled its eyes and decided to direct the trouble to the elders. The elders of the Fire Wolf clan, who were watching from the side, were scared into scattering when they heard this. Lung Ruoxue looked at the red lights that were disappearing quickly and sighed again. She had lost count of how many times she had sighed. After giving Fengde and the rest a look, Lung Ruoxue led them out of the guest courtyard. She really couldn't be bothered with matters involving this old fire wolf. Just let those two little fellows torment themselves. Also, she remembered clearly that the old firewolf said it was not hungry anymore. As expected, Grape and the others did not make the Firewolf King's portion during breakfast. After the beasts finished their breakfast, they started to leave one after another. When the old firewolf saw this, he took the opportunity to walk in front of Lung Roashue and said with a face full of dissatisfaction, "Human, am still hungry. Give me something to eat. Didn't you say you weren't hungry?" Lung Roakshu's eyes widened in disbelief, as if she had just heard a fantasy story. "I'm hungry again, okay," the Firewolf King said angrily. "All right," Lung Roashue nodded. Then she turned to the two little firewolves and said, "Your uncle is hungry again. They're here. Uncle, your breakfast is here." Hearing Lung Roakshu's words, the two little firewolves became excited again. They quickly ran to the Firewolf King and handed over the shattered vegetable leaves. "I don't want to eat this." The Firewolf King's expression immediately turned ugly. Its fiery red fur also faintly suffused with black anger. It was clear that it was really angry. "Uncle, there's no other food other than this. Just make do with it." A firewolf said, "Yup, Uncle, don't be a picky eater. They'll tell you the truth. Those elders also haven't had breakfast yet. If they're also hungry, you won't even be able to eat these vegetables." The other firewolf purposely reminded in a low voice. Hearing their words, Lung Roakshu's mouth twitched. No wonder she felt that there were fewer firewolves for breakfast. They were not hungry. It's better not to eat it. You can leave it for them to eat. "I'm not hungry anymore. We'll go back first," the Firewolf King said angrily and ran away. They had finally sent this god of plague away. Watching the Firewolf King's back, Lung Roashu muttered to herself. Then, the Firewolf King brought his clansmen to bid farewell to Lung Roashue. After the beasts from the land of demons had left, only the first elder and the rest of the members of the leopard clan remained in the Lung family's residence. However, from their looks, they did not seem to have any intention of leaving immediately. Lung Roashue did not treat them as outsiders either, so she naturally would not accompany them all the time. From that day on, there would always be some unusual noises in the land of evil demons in the middle of the night, accompanied by wolf howls from time to time. However, Lung Roashue and the rest did not pay much attention to it. Not long after, Fongda and the rest requested to enter closed-door cultivation. Lung Roashue was also preparing to go into closed-door cultivation. However, before that, she specially brought the demon to meet Huan Shun. Within the dream dust space, a white-robed man glared at Lung Roashue with a face full of hidden bitterness. He spoke as if he was a resentful husband. "Little girl, why are you only here now? I've been waiting for you for days." Chapter 1932, Dream Dust Talent 1. Upon hearing this, Lung Roakshu's forehead broke out in a cold sweat. They had contacted each other a few days ago, right? Huan Shun was the one who told her not to disturb him and to sleep well for a few days. Now he was biting back at her. However, when the evildoer heard Huan Chen's words, his handsome face immediately darkened. With a straight face, he went up and grabbed Huan Chen's collar. He narrowed his eyes at Xing'an and said angrily, "What did you just say? I dare you to say that again. Let me go, you barbaric man. Why does this little girl like you? You really have no taste." Huan Shun said, unafraid of death. "Good, very good. You got guts," the demon said with a smile that was not a smile. After which, he grabbed Huan Chen's collar and directly dragged him away. Lung Roashue couldn't help but widen her eyes when she saw the demon's actions. The demon was so manly. However, this seemed to be the dream dust space. She had never heard of a guest being able to teach the host a lesson. However, she immediately heard Huan Chen's frightened voice from not far away. "Arg, you savage man, what you doing? This is my territory." What followed was a loud bang bang. Ugh, this monster really dared to do this? Lung Roashue was speechless. She couldn't help but think to herself, isn't he afraid of Huan Chen's revenge? No. Huan Chun had already recognized her as his master. Didn't that mean that evildoer was the one who was teaching her a lesson? Oh, well fixed. Lung Ruoxue quickly made a wise decision. She couldn't be blamed for valuing her beauty over her subordinates. After all, provoking the evildoer would bring her more benefits than disadvantages. So, in order to make the evildoer feel comfortable, she could only let Huan Chun down. Who asked that fellow to be so insensible and provoke the evildoer? This was probably the so-called, one can't live with one's own sins. In an instant, Lung Ruoxue had already made her decision. Huan Chun's wailing continued to enter her ears, but she ignored them all. Lung Ruoxue pretended to be bored as she sized up the illusion dust space. Even though this wasn't her first time here, this place didn't seem to have changed much from the last time she saw it. It was still a vast expanse of white. She really couldn't understand how the illusion dust could live here like a fish in water. In reality, Dream Dust was a lazy person. Moreover, he spent most of his time sleeping. As a result, he basically didn't manage this space. In the past, when the previous owner was still alive, he didn't pay much attention to this space. As time passed, the Dream Dust space became even more bare. To be honest, Lung Ruoxue couldn't tell what was so good about this illusionary dust space. They had lived here for close to a month, and other than finding their way, they didn't seem to have done anything else. Thus, she had come here to have a good chat with Huan Chun and find out what was so special about this space. After all, it was a divine artifact refined by a former divine master. There would definitely be something extraordinary about it. However, Huan Chun still seemed to be getting beaten up. After an unknown period of time, the two of them finally appeared in front of Lung Ruoxue. Looking at Huan Chun's bruised face, Lung Ruoxue didn't even give him a word of greeting other than expressing her sympathy with her gaze. Master, he beat me up. Huan Chun saw that Lung Ruoxue did not care about him and could only open his mouth to remind her in an aggrieved manner. This detestable man not only beat him up, but he also specially slapped his face. Oof. Don't think that he didn't know that this man was clearly jealous of his beauty. Oof. Huan Chun's words made the demon scoff coldly. Then, his dazzling eyes glanced at Lung Ruoxue indifferently, with a warning in his red eyes. Do as you see fit. When Lung Ruoxue saw the two of them, she felt a headache coming on. However, she had to stand on the side of the evildoer. I saw it. Lung Ruoxue sighed softly and said indifferently, Then, master, you must avenge me. Huan Chun blinked her beautiful eyes and said with anticipation, What revenge? Lung Ruoxue played dumb and continued, I think you really need a beating. Good job, demon. Lung Ruoxue's words made the evildoer very satisfied. However, Huan Chun was heartbroken to hear this. Master, how can you do this? I'm your tool spirit. Huan Chun was so aggrieved that he was about to cry. How could he have such a master? Not only did she not support him, she even allowed evil forces to bully him. This was really too much. I know. I'm helping reason and not family. Lung Ruoxue said without any shame. Master. Huan Chun was completely depressed when he heard this. This master was clearly lecherous by nature and valued lechers over him. He actually said it in such a dignified manner. Oof. He despised her in his heart. Dream Dust. The demon beating you up is for your own good. But look at how lazy you are. You don't even know how to tidy up your own place. There's not even a bit of green in such a big place. It's bare everywhere. How can you live in it? Lung Ruoxue started to criticize Huan Chun again. As she spoke, she shot a glance at Huan Chun with a resentful expression. Master, this isn't a place for people to live in the first place. Lung Ruoxue's words caused Huan Chun to feel a sense of inferiority. However, he quickly realized that his place was not for people to live in. Not a place for people to live? Then wouldn't it be a waste to leave such a big place idle? Lung Ruoxue said disapprovingly. She didn't know if it was her occupational habit, but whenever she saw the space, she would think of building a house and planning it properly. Master, my place is specially used for training. Huan Chun faintly said, Only for experience? Lung Ruoxue couldn't believe it. In fact, if this place was used for training, she wouldn't have found anything worth training in. There wasn't even a single insect here. There's still the competition. Huanshan added, "Then can you tell me how I could train here?" Lung Ruoxue was a little curious, but she didn't ask about the competition. Heaven's secrets cannot be divulged. Only those who have come here to train will know. In fact, there was something else he didn't say. If anyone who came here to train couldn't pass, they wouldn't have the chance to leave. After passing, they would completely forget about the training process. Looking at Huan Chen's mysterious behavior, Lung Ruoxue's anger rose. She had also discovered what her weapon spirit was. None of them were easy to deal with. All of them were so arrogant. "Master, are you here to gain experience?" Huanshan noticed that Lung Ruoxue seemed to be a little unhappy and quickly asked, "Don't." Lung Ruoxue rejected him without even thinking. Her tone was unfriendly, and she was obviously angry. "Master, my place was refined by His Excellency, the Divine Master. I suggest you come and experience it for yourself. It'll be very beneficial to you." Dream Dust coaxed. "Then I won't come either," Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. Oomph. She would not be fooled. Chapter 1933. Dream Dust Talent 2. Master. Huanshan looked at Lung Ruoxue gloomily. Why was Master so stubborn? It was for her own good that he let her master come in to gain experience. At the thought of this, he glanced at the demon without a sound. However, the demon did not even look at him. Instantly, he felt even more depressed. The people around Master are not to be trifled with. Huan Chun sighed in his heart. Didn't you want to go into seclusion? I think the spiritual energy here is not bad. Why don't you go into seclusion here? After that, the demon spoke indifferently. Hearing his words, Huan Chen's worry immediately turned into joy. I hope Master will listen to this guy. Why? Lung Ruoxue blinked her beautiful eyes and looked at the demon in confusion. She didn't think that the spiritual energy here would be denser than the one in the universal bracelet. Furthermore, she had always been cultivating in the purple bamboo house and was used to it. Your state of mind will also be different in a different environment. Moreover, doesn't this dream dust space also belong to you? You can't be biased. If this space continues to be idle, it might become more and more desolate. So you should just treat it as doing a good deed. The demon said with a hidden meaning. Was there such a good person? Lung Ruoxue was very suspicious of the demon's words. However, she couldn't deny that there was some truth to his words. This fantasy dust space was hers as well. If she didn't use it, it might rust. She couldn't help but think to herself. Although she was still a little hesitant, her heart had loosened a little. When Huan Chun heard the demon's words, he almost went crazy. Depression? Which part of his place was desolate? This was clearly a high-level space beyond the mortal world. However, even though he was angry, he had to continue the conversation with the hateful man. He looked at Lung Ruoxue with a bitter expression and tears welled up in his eyes. He then said with a slightly choked voice, Master, I know you have a good space, but I'm different from it. As for what's different, you'll only know after you experience it yourself. I can only say that you'll regret it if you don't come to my place for closed-door cultivation. Really? Lung Ruoxue was skeptical. She did not know what she had to regret. Didn't this place already belong to her? Wouldn't that mean that she could come whenever she wanted? It's true. It's more real than diamonds. Huan Chen hurriedly promised. After hearing Huan Chen's assurance, Cold Ruoxue's forehead broke out in a cold sweat. These words seem a little familiar. Master, I've been to many dimensions with my previous master, so I know more than you can imagine. If you stay here, it'll guide you, and you'll never regret it. Huan Chen, who could sense Lung Ruoxue's thoughts, advised her. Then, all right. Lung Ruoxue hesitated for a moment, but she still agreed. Master, it'll arrange a place for you to cultivate in seclusion. You guys can chat first. After Huan Chen finished speaking, he disappeared in a flash. Looking at Huan Chen's energetic appearance, Lung Ruoxue could not help but doubt her own decision. Although that fellow is lazy and a little out of line, he has been living in the divine realm for so many years. He knows more about the various powers in the divine realm than we do. Thus, you should be able to learn a lot of things if you stay here." The evildoer could see Shui Er's unwillingness and gently pulled her into his arms. "Well, what about you?" Lung Ruoxua looked at the evildoer and asked. All these years, the evildoer had always been by her side when she was in closed-door cultivation. Therefore, she would not be used to it if the evildoer was not by her side. "Silly girl, of course I won't leave you. They'll also enter closed-door cultivation with you." The demon laughed. How could he bear to leave Shui? That's good. Lung Ruoxua nodded her head in satisfaction. At this moment, Huan Chun, who had quickly made all the arrangements, ran back excitedly. Seeing the two of them hugging, Huan Chun said with a little dissatisfaction, "You're not married yet. You can't take advantage of my master." He was mainly talking to the evildoer. Hearing Huan Chun's words, the two of them looked at Huan Chun in disbelief. Wasn't Huan Chun being too nosy? "Why do you care?" The demon said coldly. "Of course it's my business. My master is still young. You old thing can't deceive her pure heart. I have to keep a good watch on my master's behalf." Huan Chun said matter-of-factly, not feeling like he was being a busybody at all. "It seems like I was too lenient with my beating just now." The demon glanced at Huan Chun and threatened. You can't do this. What kind of skill is using force? You have to be convinced by virtue." A trace of fear flashed through Huan Chun's eyes, but he still said without fear of death. In any case, he was his master's artifact spirit. He did not believe that this hateful man would really dare to do anything to him. Using virtue to win people over? I don't need it. I prefer a more direct one. The demon laughed evilly and acted like he was going to grab Huan Chun again. However, Huan Chun, who was prepared, dodged. "Humph. I'm not going to argue with a barbarian like you, master. I've already prepared the place for you. They'll take you there." With that, Huan Chun had an idea and disappeared from the spot with Lung Ruoxua. In an instant, Lung Ruoxua felt that the place she was in had changed. She was brought to a sealed room. The four walls of the room were as white as jade, and there were no decorations on the walls. There was only a futon on the ground in the room. This was really a simple place. However, the spiritual energy in this room was unbelievably rich. What was going on? Lung Ruoxua's beautiful eyes scanned her surroundings. After a careful observation, she was shocked to discover that the spiritual energy in this place came from the walls. His hand unconsciously touched the snow-white wall, and the only feeling he had was its smoothness and exquisiteness. After a while, she felt waves of dense spiritual energy pouring into her body. Instantly, her entire body felt comfortable. This place was truly unbelievable. Moreover, she could also tell that the strangeness of this room came from the jade-like snow-white walls around it. She just didn't know what material they were made of. "Master, are you satisfied with this place?" Huan Chun asked with great confidence. This was the place where his previous master cultivated in seclusion. Although it looked simple and crude, there was a world inside. "I'm very satisfied." Lung Ruoxua nodded. "It's good that you're satisfied. Master, then you should stay here and cultivate. I suggest that you only come out of seclusion when you can advance to Reverent God level." Huan Chun said with an expression of anticipation. "Reverent God?" Huan Chun's words made Lung Ruoxua's expression darken. Was it possible for her to come out of seclusion after she advanced to Reverent God level? How long would that take? Even though Lung Ruoxua did not know how long it would take to cultivate to Reverent God level, she was very clear that it was impossible. She couldn't possibly stay in seclusion forever. At the thought of this, Lung Ruoxua helplessly said to Huan Chun, "Huan Chun, I can't stay in seclusion all the time. It's unrealistic to wait until I reach Reverent God level before coming out." Chapter 1934, Dream Dust Talent 3 Why? Huan Chun's handsome face was filled with question marks. "Because my territory has just started to develop, and Fonda and the others are in seclusion, so I need someone to take charge. Although her godfather would help her take care of her while she was in seclusion, he still had the Ning family. He couldn't stay with her all the time. More importantly, she couldn't be so selfish as to trap him here. You're so weak now, what can you do outside? Huanshan spoke frankly. Even though he wanted to tell Lung Ruoxue how powerful her enemies were, his master's strength made him hesitate. Was she being despised by Dream Dust? Hearing Huanshan's tone, Lung Ruoxue felt depressed. She also knew that she was weak. Although she often had many enemies, it was mostly because of the light of her natal flame. In reality, there was still a big gap between her strength and those people. However, she was already working hard on her cultivation. It couldn't be that she was as useless as Huanshan had said, right? I know that I'm weak, but I really can't stay here forever. It hasn't been long since I came to the divine world, and there are many places that I haven't been to. Therefore, besides cultivating, I also want to go out and gain some experience. Lung Ruoxue sighed softly and said helplessly, "Oh, in that case, I really can't stay in seclusion all the time." When Huanshan heard Lung Ruoxue's explanation, he nodded in agreement and continued, "As for training, Master doesn't need to go to the divine realm. I can simulate a divine realm for you. So you can just train here? How can that be the same?" Lung Ruoxue was speechless. She could tell that Huanshan didn't want her to leave this place. "Of course it is the same. Master, I have great abilities. I can totally simulate a divine realm for you, and it's 100% realistic." Huanshan said smugly. "How realistic is it?" Lung Ruoxue was very curious. "Master, do you want to try?" Huanshan said mysteriously. "All right." Lung Ruoxue nodded. "Then, Master, tell me a place. You could just say any place, anywhere." Huanshan warned. "The endless sea," Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. "All right," Huanshan replied. As soon as he finished speaking, the room in front of Lung Ruoxue disappeared. In its place was a vast, deep blue ocean. At this moment, the waves on the surface of the sea were turbulent and strong gales blew. She would soon be able to smell the salty taste of the sea. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but rub her eyes. Was this really the endless ocean that the illusion dust had created? Why did she feel that this endless sea was very real and not fake at all? At this moment, a pair of azure blue eyes appeared on the surface of the sea. Following that, a smooth head emerged from the water. When it saw Lung Ruoxue, its eyes revealed a look of surprise. Then it quickly floated to the surface. "Miss Lung, why have you come? We heard that you have your own territory, so we were planning to go and celebrate. I didn't expect you to come to the endless sea. Hee hee, we're really fated to meet." The one who spoke was an old dolphin. It was the one that Lung Ruoxue had saved in the mystic realm and was also the ancestor of her little dolphin. Seeing this old dolphin, Lung Ruoxue looked at Huanshan beside her with a face full of surprise. How is this possible? Could it be that she had really come to the endless sea? Lung Ruoxue was at a loss. "Miss Lung," seeing that Lung Ruoxue did not respond to it for a long time, the old dolphin could not help but call out softly, "Miss Lung doesn't seem to be right." "Oh, I'm sorry, I was a little distracted." Lung Ruoxue returned to her senses when she heard the old dolphin's voice. "Hee hee, it doesn't matter, Miss Lung. Our beasts from the endless ocean are planning to pay a visit to your territory. I wonder when it's convenient for you." The old dolphin sensed that Lung Ruoxue was not paying attention, so tried to probe her. "Let's wait a while. We're all in closed-door cultivation now." Lung Ruoxue chuckled. "Oh, well, we'll tell them. Miss Lung, do you want to come to our dolphin race?" The old dolphin invited again. "Not now. I still have other things to do." Lung Ruoxue declined. "That's really a pity, Miss Lung. We'll meet again." After the old dolphin finished speaking, it dove back to the bottom of the sea. Following that, the image of the endless sea disappeared. Lung Ruoxue's vision returned to the 4 snow-white walls. "What's going on?" Lung Ruoxue looked at Huanshan and couldn't help but ask. Everything that had happened earlier was too real. She didn't believe that it was fake. "Hee hee, didn't Master see it? That's the endless sea." Huan Shun kept Lung Ruoxue in suspense and did not answer her question directly. Of course I know that it's the endless sea. I just want to ask you, how did you do it? And that old dolphin I met, was it real? Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. Of course it's real. As for how I did it, it's related to my talent. Huan Shun finally revealed some truth. Your talent. Lung Ruoxue looked at Huan Shun, waiting for him to continue. Yes, when the Divine Master first refined me, his original intention was only to have a venue for the elite competition. However, who knew that an accident would happen during the refining process? It inadvertently caused this ordinary divine weapon to produce a weapon spirit. Moreover, it also underwent a mutation and gave me some strange talents. Therefore, my significance is not just for the competition. Huan Shun explained with a faint smile. Is your unique talent to be able to simulate any place I want to go? Lung Ruoxue asked in shock. Yes, and it's not a simulation. I made a copy of the endless sea and moved it in front of Master. In other words, at that moment, there were actually two endless seas in the divine world. The people and things you see here synchronize with the two scenes, but you're not there. Huan Shun said. This, Lung Ruoxue was at a loss for words. She had never heard of such an ability. Master, I'm amazing, right? Now, you can go anywhere you want to train. With me here, you can definitely travel all over the divine realm without spending a little bit of effort. Huan Shun said arrogantly. However, if someone familiar with him was here, they would definitely be shocked. No one would have thought that Huan Shun would be so smug. Amazing. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Could she say that she wasn't amazing? At least, among the humans and beasts she knew, no one had such ability. Even Green Vessel did not seem to be able to do this. Then Master can cultivate here in peace. Dreamdust Way. This was his ultimate goal. I can, but I still can't stay here forever, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. If she didn't know that Huan Shun had already recognized her as his master, she would have thought that Huan Shun wanted to imprison her here. Chapter 1935. A Stranger in the Demonic Land. 1. I see. Since Master's decision has been made, I can only follow Master's wishes. Huan Shun said helplessly. Then he changed the topic and said, By the way, Master, I know you have a little beast called Bao Bao. Can you let me train it? After he finished speaking, he even looked at Lung Ruoxue with a face full of anticipation. You want her baby to train your baby? Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised. Even though she didn't know how Huan Shun knew about Baby's existence, Baby had been sleeping ever since they arrived in the God world. No, he was in seclusion. Therefore, she probably couldn't hand her baby over to this guy. More importantly, she was afraid that her baby would be abused by the illusion dust. Master, a piece of jade that is not sculpted is useless. It's the same for little beastie. If it doesn't train well, it will only achieve nothing when it grows up. I think Master also doesn't want Baby to be a beastie that can't even protect itself. Huan Shun said earnestly when he saw Lung Ruoxue's struggle and reluctance. I'm still small, Lung Ruoxue said softly. Although she didn't deny that Huan Shun's words made sense, her baby was her first little beast, and her feelings for him were very special. Hence, she really didn't want her baby to suffer too much. After all, she was confident that she could protect her baby well. Master, that little fellow isn't small anymore. Huan Shun's face was filled with disapproval. But it has been in seclusion all this time, so I can't give it to you now. Lung Ruoxue said, feeling a little troubled. It's all right, Master. It's mainly because I know how to increase that little fellow's strength. So leaving it to me is the wisest choice. Dreamdust threw out a little bait. Really? Lung Ruoxue looked at Huan Shun in disbelief. Master, I will not lie to you. You must believe me. Huan Shun was depressed. This was not the first time his master had looked at him with such distrust. All right then. Lung Ruoxue hesitated for a moment, but finally agreed. Even though she couldn't bear to see her baby suffer, she knew that her baby had always been working hard to become stronger. Now that Huan Shun said that he had a way to increase her power, she would let him try. Then, with a thought, She moved the baby out of the bracelet. At this moment, the baby's round body was curled up, and its big furry tail was covering its body. It was sleeping soundly and even snored. From time to time, it would blow a few bubbles from its mouth. Seeing its small appearance, not only Huan Chun, but Lung Ruoxue was also speechless. Ugh, the baby's sleeping posture was not very good. Lung Ruoxue pondered to herself. Master, is this how it cultivates? Huan Chen's mouth twitched as he couldn't help but ask. Yup, aren't all beastie like this? Lung Ruoxue pretended to be relaxed and said nonchalantly, but in reality, her face was burning. I don't care about the other beasts, but this guy definitely can't do this. Huan Chun glared at the sleeping baby, his body burning with anger. Why? Lung Ruoxue didn't understand. To her, it was normal for a baby to be sleepy when he was still young. However, Huan Chun didn't seem to be thinking that way. Master, I can only tell you now that this fellow's background is not simple. Therefore, it must improve its strength as soon as possible so that it can help you. But looking at it now, it's too far from what I want. Huan Chun glared at the baby, his face full of disappointment. Never in his dreams did he think that this beastie would be so unmotivated. How could it become Master's right arm in the future? Actually, from Lung Ruoxue's point of view, Baby Sue was just a cute little beast. Hence, she did not have much expectations for Baby Sue. In her eyes, Baby Sue only needed to eat and play well. It was not like she could not afford to raise Baby Sue. However, Huan Chun did not see it that way. Furthermore, if Huan Chun knew that Lung Ruoxue did not have high expectations for Baby Sue, he would probably vomit blood in anger. But now, Lung Ruoxue clearly did not agree with Huan Chun's idea. Huan Chun, Baby is still young, and is like a little brother to me. Therefore, I don't care if he can really help me, as long as Baby is happy. So, although I'm handing Baby to you, I don't want you to force Baby to do something he doesn't want to do. Lung Ruoxue warned. In fact, in her heart, her baby was already working very hard. Don't worry, Master. I know what I'm doing. Dream Dust said. That's good. Lung Ruoxue nodded. At this moment, an angry roar entered the ears of the two. Damn Huan Chun, return Shui to me. The demon roared in exasperation. In fact, when the evildoer saw that his arms were empty, he was so angry that his expression changed. That damn illusion dust. He was playing tricks in front of him. However, he knew that this was Huan Chun's territory. If Huan Chun had really hidden Shui, it would not be easy for him to find her. As a result, after thinking for a long time, he used his unique voice transmission technique to transmit his voice through the entire space. This way, Shui would be able to hear him. However, this technique consumed a lot of divine power, so he could not speak much. Moreover, he had to pause for a while after each sentence. Therefore, after he shouted, he fell silent again. However, when Lung Ruoxue heard the evildoer's voice, she knew that he was furious. Hence, she said to Huan Chun anxiously, quickly send me out. If the evildoer gets angry, I can't protect you. Master, no wonder people said, you're not married to a girl yet. You've started to side with him, compared to him, in the one who completely belongs to you. So, how can you not care about my life and death? Huan Chun said with a face full of hidden bitterness. His watery eyes were filled with mist, making one feel pity for him. Unfortunately, the person he had met was Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue had been poisoned by the demon for many years. She was more or less immune to this kind of fellow who liked to act pitiful. Hence, when she saw Huan Chun's state, she was completely unmoved. Instead, she laughed and said, that's my man, and it's only right for me to side with him. As for you, since it's already mine, why don't you let me hit and scold you? So, if I stand on your side, it's simply a waste of time and a waste of expression. Do you think I'd do such a stupid thing? AI, Master's intelligence is unparalleled in the world. Huan Chun sighed helplessly. The hidden bitterness on his face deepened because he realized that his master was really too honest. This made him somewhat at a loss. Thank you for your praise. Quickly send me to meet the demon. Otherwise, if he finds you, you'll die a miserable death. Lung Ruoxue reminded him out of the kindness of her heart. All right then. Huan Chun was helpless. It was his greatest sorrow to have a lustful master. However, he also knew that the man was not to be trifled with, so he should stop while he was ahead. Chapter 1936. The Stranger in the Demonic Land, 2. With a change of thought, Huan Chun brought Lung Ruoxue and appeared in front of the evildoer. The evildoer, who was brewing wine and sending a voice transmission warning, saw Lung Ruoxue's sudden appearance and pulled her into his arms without any hesitation. He hugged her tightly and even glared at Huan Chun with vigilance. This guy didn't do anything to you, right? After glaring at Huan Chun, the demon started to size up Lung Ruoxue. However, his words made Huan Chun speechless. Lung Ruoxue was his master. What could he do to his own master? Huan Chun secretly cursed and pretended to be invisible, who asked the demon's anger to not be directed at him. He had better be tactful and lower his presence a little. After Lung Ruoxue heard the demon's words, she smiled charmingly and said, "No, he only took me to see the place where I went into seclusion. The spiritual energy there is very rich. It's a good place for seclusion." "That's good." The demon nodded in satisfaction, then sent a voice transmission to Huan Chun. "I don't have time to deal with you now, but he'll remember this." Don't. You can't be that petty, right? I was just joking with you." Huan Chun hurriedly replied as his heart trembled. He had a deep understanding of how terrifying this fellow was. Anyone who was targeted by him would not have a good end, so he would rather let this demonic man beat him up now than wait for him to settle the score later. "I'm just that petty," the demon said with a smile that was not a smile. His brilliant starry eyes glanced at Huan Chun in a slightly provocative manner, causing Huan Chun's heart to turn cold. He knew that this damn demon was serious. Woo! When the time comes, Master must save him. At the thought of this, he immediately disappeared. "Master, I'll go make some preparations for you. You can go out and say hello to the others." Huan Chun's voice came from the void, but he was nowhere to be found. Seeing that Huan Chun ran faster than a rabbit, the demon was overjoyed. Oof. Those who dared to oppose him would not live long. However, seeing that this fellow had already recognized Shui as his master, he would be lenient. In fact, he was just trying to scare Huan Chun. He didn't plan on doing anything to him, but he didn't expect that guy to be so timid. He was scared away just like that. Not bad, he's teachable. After Huan Chun left, Lung Ruoxue brought the evildoer along and left the Huan Chun space. When she reached the garden, she saw her godfather and the others drinking tea and chatting in the garden. She walked over with the demon. "Shui, you're done with your work?" Master Ning beamed with joy when he saw Lung Ruoxue. Shui had told them that she needed to make some preparations before she went into seclusion, so she had not come out of her room for 2 days. Godfather, we'll be in closed-door cultivation starting tomorrow. Lung Ruoxue nodded. "All right, it'll help you keep watch here. I don't think anyone will dare to cause trouble." The master of the Ning family promised. "Thank you, Godfather," Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. At this moment, the first elder of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters looked at Lung Ruoxue hesitantly. In the end, he still asked, "Shui, I've always wanted to ask you what happened during the last few days in the special space." As soon as the first elder asked the question, Master Ning and the rest all stared at Lung Ruoxue. This was also what they wanted to know, but they had never had the chance to ask. "Godfather, didn't Elder Yi tell you?" Lung Ruoxue looked at the anticipating gazes of the few old men and said with a smile, "I sent them away as soon as the match ended." The master of the Ning family said, a little embarrassed. In fact, he was the one who chased the Ning family away like they were flies. Before he left, Elder Yi seemed to have something to say to him, but he didn't give Elder Yi a chance to say it. Hearing Master Ning's words, Lung Ruoxue wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. She thought to herself, did Godfather not plan to ask our family at all? Or it could be said that he didn't care about his family's safety at all. When she thought of this, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but feel touched. Following that, Lung Ruoxue gave them a simple description of what had happened during the last few days in the special space. However, she did not mention that she had taken over the illusion dust. After hearing it, the few of them frowned and did not say a word. After a long while, the master of the Ning family said, Shui, can you be sure that they also obtain a god tool that can grow? The master of the Ning family asked, deep in thought. And Lung Ruoxue nodded. She had asked Fengde and the others, as well as Huan Chun. Other than her, who had obtained Huan Chun, the others had all obtained god tools that could grow. This was also an eyesore to Huan Chun. No wonder. Master Ning understood, but Lung Ruoxue was a little confused. What did Godfather mean by this? Looking at Lung Ruoxue's confused face, Master Ning sighed and said, Shui, it seems like something big has happened in the Divine Master's estate. The Divine Realm has been in chaos recently. A few small clans have been annihilated for some unknown reason. As far as we know, those small clans were one of the 100 people who were left in the special space. If it weren't for what had happened, they probably wouldn't have taken the initiative to ask about what had happened in the special space. In their opinion, the fact that the girl didn't tell them meant that it wasn't a big deal. But now, it seemed that it wasn't a small matter. They just didn't know how the events of those few days were related to the Divine Lord's estate, which actually made the entire Divine Lord's estate mobilize. Big event. Oh, Huan Chun recognizing a master should be a big deal for the Divine Lord estate, right? Although she did not know why the Divine Lord cared so much about Huan Chun, she knew very well that the destruction of the small clans definitely had something to do with the Divine Lord. Now that she thought about it, what did Huan Chun have that the Divine Lord cared so much about? Could it be that Huan Chun had some important secret? Lung Ruoxue guessed. Godfather, Uncle Long, Great Elder, you should know about that special space, right? After some thought, Lung Ruoxue asked with a faint smile. And the three of them nodded. They were a little confused by Shui's meaning. It could be said that there was no one in the Divine Realm who did not know about the special space. I'm its master now, Lung Ruoxue said indifferently, as if she was casually saying the weather is not bad today. Ah, what? Is this true? The three old men's faces were filled with shock and disbelief. How is this possible? That was a special space created by Master Yu himself. How could it recognize a master for no reason? However, what they didn't expect even more was that that thing could actually recognize an owner. After all, in their hearts, they had long believed that the special space belonged to the Divine Master. How could it be an ownerless object? This was too inconceivable. That special space is also known as the Dream Dust Space. An artifact spirit has long since been born within it. He was the one who caused the incident that day. He wanted to find a master for himself, but was afraid that the Divine Master would cause trouble for his master. So he gave each of the remaining 100 a reward. This time, Lung Ruoxue was very detailed. Chapter 1937. The Stranger in the Demonic Land 3. So, it's like this. The three of them nodded in agreement. They did not know what to say about Lung Ruoxue's good luck. It was Master Yes creation, and not anyone could have it. However, they were worried. If the Divine Lord's estate did not find out about this, it would definitely be a good thing. However, if the Divine Lord's estate found out about it, it would be a great disaster for Lung Ruoxue. After all, she was the current Lung Ruoxue. They simply couldn't compete with the God Lord's estate. Even if they were by this little girl's side, they were not a match for the Divine Lord's estate. With this thought in mind, they began to feel conflicted. However, Lung Ruoxue was completely unaware of the three old men's worries. Right now, all of her attention was on her closed-door cultivation. After explaining everything to them, Lung Ruoxue chatted with them for a while before bringing the demon back to her room. The next day, the two of them officially entered closed-door cultivation in the Dream Dust Space. While Lung Ruoxue and the rest were in closed-door cultivation, the firmament was in an even more turbulent state. Countless small families disappeared in the torrent of history, but at the same time, countless families rose up. These were not within the scope of Lung Ruoxue and the rest's concern. They could ignore it, but the master of the Ning family and the others couldn't take it lightly. In the garden, the three beautiful uncles were all frowning, not knowing what they were thinking. However, as the sighs grew heavier, Flowing Maple, who was not far away from them, couldn't take it anymore and jumped up. I say, you three old men, can you stop sighing all the time? It's just that the little girl went into seclusion. This was not a big deal. Do you have to act like this? Lu Feng said with a face full of disdain. He truly thought that the three old men were depressed because they had not seen Lung Ruoxue for a long time. In fact, he was also a little depressed. He didn't expect that the wretched girl would choose to go into seclusion as soon as she returned, making him very bored. But he was also reluctant to leave this place. You know nothing. The master of the Ning family shouted angrily and even cursed. Little brat, why don't you learn from Huang? Why are you always wandering around in front of us? Go back to the refining room and refine your weapons. I'm annoyed just by looking at you. The first elder also roared in anger. Ever since Luiwe saw the medicinal ingredients that Shui had specially left for them to refine pills, she had been hiding in the pill refining room with Shun Nuo and had not come out. Only this fellow was idling around all day long, and they felt dizzy just looking at him. Lu Feng was completely speechless when he heard First Elder's words. Was he being angered by someone? Fortunately, Uncle Long hadn't said anything yet. Otherwise, he would have been depressed to death. However, not long after he thought of this, he saw Uncle Long take a sip of tea and then said in a slightly disdainful tone, "Little brat, didn't Shui also leave you a lot of ores? Why don't you go and forge? Although I don't know how to refine weapons, I know the quality of the materials. So don't waste them. Oh, if you don't want it, you can keep it for Shui Heir's ancestor and her master. By the way, Shui Heir's ancestor's master is called Mo Yin, right? I've heard that that fellow is a tool maniac. If he sees good materials, he definitely won't waste them like you." After Uncle Long finished speaking, he looked at Lu Feng with a disdainful and slightly sympathetic gaze, as if Lu Feng had done something he shouldn't have done. This made Lu Feng's heart burn with anger. However, he could not afford to offend this old man, so he could only accept it. With that thought in mind, Lu Feng's face darkened as he turned around and left the garden in a depressed mood. Looking at his back, Uncle Long couldn't help but ask, "Aren't we a little too heavy?" "I'm fine. That kid's skin is really thick." The first elder disapprovingly said, "Yes, it's fine. I watched that kid grow up. He has a strong tolerance." Master Ning said. In fact, they couldn't care less about what Lu Feng was thinking. All their attention was on the God Lord's estate. "Little Ning, you should go back to the Ning family first." After hesitating for a long time, Uncle Long finally spoke his opinion. Although the presence of the master of the Ning family would make him more powerful, the strength of the Ning family would be greatly reduced, which was not what he wanted to see. "How can we do that? If they knew that I was here, the God Lord's estate wouldn't dare to come here so openly. If I leave, the God Lord's estate won't have so many people to care about." Master Ning objected. According to the Silver Rat King's report, many strange humans had come to the land of evil demons. However, those people were only loitering in the land of evil demons and had not come to Lung Ruoxue's territory. Therefore, it was hard for them to judge whether those people had been sent by the God Lord's estate. However, one thing was for sure. Those people had not taken any action so far because they were worried. Besides, that old geezer from the Wen family was also a cause for concern. If he was not here, Uncle Long would not be able to deal with the old geezer's attack. As long as our divine master doesn't come in person, I'm not afraid of the others. But if the Ning family doesn't have you, the family head, then there'll be a group of dragons without a leader. Uncle Long's words were very subtle. In fact, the more profound a family was, the easier it was for the enemy to take advantage of the loopholes. This was probably unavoidable for any big family. After all, there were too many people in the family, and there would always be one or two rats. "Old man Ning, I think Uncle Long's words are very reasonable. Why don't you go back to the Ning family and take a look? You don't have to worry too much about this place. Shui Heir's defensive formation is not to be trifled with." The Great Elder also tried to persuade Uncle Long. I promised Shue that I would stay here and guard this place for her. Master Ning didn't say he would go back, nor did he say he wouldn't tea, but his meaning was clear. That was then, and this is now. We didn't think that the Divine Lord Estate would go so crazy over Huan Qin's disappearance, did we? The Great Elder sighed. Before Shue went into closed-door cultivation, only a few small clans had been exterminated. However, almost half of the clans had already been killed. Although the various major powers of the Divine Realm had been trying to guess who the culprit was, they had not found any clues. Only they knew that the culprit was someone from the Divine Lord's estate. This only means that dream dust is extremely important to the God Lord. Uncle Long sighed. The Divine Realm was becoming more and more unstable, and he was very clear that the only one who could turn the situation around was that little girl Shue. It's exactly because of this that I can't leave. Otherwise, if the Divine Lord finds out that Dream Dust has taken Shue as his master, he'll definitely do something bad to her. The master of the Ning family said with a serious face, "Don't worry. That woman won't know that Huan Qin is with Shue. Uncle Long said with certainty. From the fact that she only dared to attack the small and medium-sized clans, it was clear that she did not want the Divine Realm to fall into chaos and blood to flow like rivers. She had only attacked some of the small and medium-sized clans, so it was probably more of a warning. Chapter 1938, A Stranger in the Demonic Land, for It's Better to Be Safe Than Sorry. The master of the Ning family said stubbornly. He still didn't want to leave. You are the master of the Ning family. Although I understand your love for Shue, you can't disappoint your own family. Those are your descendants. Uncle Long advised. All right then, they'll go back to take a look and come back as soon as possible. The master of the Ning family compromised. Don't be in a hurry to come back. The Ning family really needs you. I'm here, so you can rest assured. Uncle Long promised. And, although the master of the Ning family nodded, he still decided to return as soon as possible. Then, the master of the Ning family teleported away. After he left, Uncle Long turned his gaze back to the first elder. Uncle Long, you're not thinking of driving me away, are you? The great elder said with a bitter smile. If there's nothing important at the Armament Guild headquarters, then you can stay. Uncle Long said indifferently. I'm fine. I'm very free. First elder quickly replied. At this time, a little silver-white mouse suddenly appeared in front of them out of thin air. This little mouse was the Silver Rat King. Uncle Long, great elder. The Silver Rat King greeted them very politely. The two of them nodded and then began to listen carefully to the Silver Rat King's report. Uncle Long, great elder, my subordinates found that there are more people coming to the land of demons today. However, the strange thing is that they don't seem to be with the people from before. Not only that, but they also had a conflict. It doesn't look like they're acting. The Silver Rat King carefully reported the situation. Conflict? Is it serious? Uncle Long asked curiously. It's not too serious. It was caused by a female human. The Silver Rat King said honestly. However, the way it addressed the female human made the two feel deeply awkward. Little Silver Mouse, you can call us human women, but don't call us female humans. First elder couldn't help but remind. However, was this the main point? You don't have to listen to him. Just call him whatever you like. Continue. Uncle Long looked at the first elder with disdain and urged. Uncle Long's disdainful gaze made the first elder feel deeply depressed. However, Uncle Long's seniority was higher than his, so he could only accept it. All right. The Silver Rat King was very happy and continued. That female human doesn't look that good. I really don't understand why those men would fight for her. They really have bad taste. Get to the main point. Hearing the Rat King's words, Uncle Long gritted his teeth in anger. He didn't want to listen to the Rat King's analysis. He wanted to know the cause of the matter. This is the main point. The Silver Rat King blinked its eyes and said with an innocent face, Then why do they have a conflict? Uncle Long asked with wide eyes. I told you, The Silver Rat King asked in a daze. What did you just say? You only said that the woman was not pretty and that there were men fighting for her, but you didn't say the cause of the fight. Uncle Long reminded him through gritted teeth. Oh, the cause of the fight was naturally a perverted dispute. A group of people took a fancy to that female human, and the group that the female human belonged to felt deeply humiliated, so the two sides couldn't agree on a word and started fighting. The Silver Rat King patiently explained, but Uncle Long and the First Elder were both speechless. Now, they deeply felt that this Silver Rat King's ability to express itself was too poor. They really didn't know how that little girl Shui had communicated with it. AI. The two of them sighed deeply and looked at each other helplessly. They could see the helplessness in each other's eyes. I'm telling you, that female human was very casual, and a few male humans had an affair with her, Sai. I want to tell you the details. In short, my good subordinates are going to be taught bad by them. The Silver Rat King sighed again. Upon hearing this, Uncle Long and the Great Elder almost went crazy. What did the Silver Rat King report to them? They weren't interested in this kind of gossip, but judging from the Silver Rat King's appearance, they probably didn't find anything of value. Thinking up to this point, Uncle Long warned with a cautious expression, Silver Rat King, tell your subordinates to keep a close eye on them. If there's anything unusual, they must immediately report it. Don't worry, Uncle Long. Even when they're relieving themselves, my little brother is still watching them. We won't let them leave our sight. The Silver Rat King said smugly. Hee, the Silver Rat clan had nothing but silver rats. There were hundreds of thousands of silver rats scattered all over the land of evil demons. How could they not keep an eye on those humans? And this was also the thing that it was most self-conscious about. Then you guys continue to work hard. Uncle Long wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and said speechlessly, I promise to complete the mission. The Silver Rat King said hurriedly, and then disappeared into thin air just as it had come. After it left, Uncle Long and the Great Elder looked at each other again, and the helplessness in their eyes deepened. At this time, the strangers in the land of demons were still unaware that they had entered the Silver Rat's sight. In fact, even if they had discovered that there were silver rats around them, they would not have thought that those silver rats had come to monitor them. The land of the evil demons was filled with mountains and forests. The mountain that Lung Roashue and the others were on was the highest and most dangerous one. There were many other mountains of different sizes surrounding the mountain. At this moment, a group of people was gathered at the foot of one of the mountains. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.